Flims, Switzerland, Canada against the U.S. in one of the most exciting gold medal finals we've seen in junior women's world curling play. 10th, tied 4-4. Cassandra Johnson of the U.S., the angle raise double to lie 2. Would she steal the gold medal? It left only one shot available for Canada's Marlies Miller out of the Nutana Curling Club in Saskatoon. She had to come back with an angle raise double of her own. And she'd make it for the gold as Canada wins its 8th junior women's gold medal. And now Canada will go after a 9th. And it'll be Nova Scotia's Jill Mouzar out of the Shettabukto Curling Club as she faces Norway in the gold medal game here in Trois-Rivières on TSN. After 2 months of Canadian Championship play, we now turn our attention to the World Championships. The flags of the 43 members of the World Curling Federation hanging from the rafters here at the Colisée in Trois-Rivières. As we say, hello Canada, and welcome to Trois-Rivières and our first of 2 days of coverage from these World Junior Curling Championships. Tomorrow we'll have the men's final for you. Today, the women's championship game with Canada and Jill Mouzar and her team from the Shettabukto Curling Club in Nova Scotia looking to win Canada's 9th championship in 17 years of Women's World Junior Championship play. The Canadians, well, they finished first. They went undefeated, looking to become just the 2nd team to go undefeated. Marlies Miller did it a year ago in Flims, going 11-0. She beat the U.S. to get to the gold medal game, and Norway, Lynn Githmark, was a winner over Sweden. As we say bonjour to Lyndon Ray.
Well, a very dominant performance by the Canadian junior women all week and winning the semifinal in the same way.
Well, they look great all week. You're right, Lyndon, go through undefeated. And in their semifinal game, they just dominated from start to finish. You could almost have that feeling all the way that they were going to win it, and they did.
And Lynn Githmark and Norway got a little fortunate. Sweden gave them some chances, and finally they put it away.
Well, it's a young Swedish team, inexperienced, and Lynn's been here, as you say, 8 times. So, but, she was fortunate, a little fortunate in that game because she had a chance to put it away early and missed some big shots. She won't be able to afford to do that today.
If you talk about Canada in round robin play, well, they were the best all week. What a great performance. Undefeated, 82%, great plus minus. Only allowed 4 stolen ends and didn't allow any big ends. And yes, it was 8-5 over the U.S. in that semifinal. For Norway, Lynn Githmark, it is her 8th appearance. Previous best was 3 wins, and she boosted that up to 6-3 in round robin play. Good numbers, good percentages. A very high scoring team. Had the most big ends, 3 or more points scored, and we're pretty good on the force, only giving up the single, and did win the semifinal. I think Lynn will have to make the big shots in this game.
Well, there's no question she's going to have to close the ends off. She had chances in the semifinal, didn't do it, finally did win it. But Norway, Linda, over the years, we know that Norway has a way of playing big against Canada, and I expect her to do that this afternoon.
The Canadian champions, skipped by Jill Mouzar, ready for their parade here in Trois-Rivières. It's the Women's World Junior Final on TSN.
The 2004 World Junior Curling Championships from Trois-Rivières are brought to you by Karcher. You'll look for things to clean. By Ford, built for life in Canada. And by Nokia, official wireless phone of the Season of Champions.
The 2 teams being paraded onto the ice here at the Colisée in Trois-Rivières, Canada and Norway. That's the matchup for this Women's World Junior Championship final. The Canadian champions out of the Shettabukto Curling Club. They are skipped by Jill Mouzar. Paige Matty is the 3rd. Bliss Comstock, Chloe Comstock, the 2nd in leads. The Norwegian champions, Åsa Celius, Stina Moe, Marianne Rorvik, and Lynn Githmark out of the Reisenga Curling Club in Oslo. 5 sheets in play during round robin. Just the one sheet, which is the center of our attention, Reading the Ice with Ray, brought to you by Ford, built for life in Canada, and the responsibility has fallen to Jean-Francois Morin.
And boy, what a job he has done, Victor. The ice is just fantastic. Great crowds. Let's talk about it. You can see by the numbers, lots of curl. So we'll get lots of rocks in play. Hopefully they play some rocks out front. But when you're going around stones, from the outside in, it runs very straight. We see that all the time out in this area here. It runs very straight. My suggestion on this ice is that when you're trying to get a roll, for example, off a rock out here, you play it from the inside out, because that outside in shot runs so straight. It's terrific brushing ice as well. You can win and lose games with your brushes. Tremendous surface. Norway, Canada, we've seen it before.
Well, absolutely, Linda. We were talking about that during our breakfast. There's the skip. That's Lynn Githmark mentioning that she's in her 8th appearance, and she had a wonderful comment because her best record you had suggested was 3-6, and now she's in the final looking to win Norway's first ever championship. So somebody said to her, well, what do you think about being here now in a final in the 8th time? She says, well, the first 7 years I was just practicing.
Yeah, they're going to have to play very well. Norway is a different kind of team from Canada. Norway will make the big shot. It's the timing of when they do it. Canada is very consistent, no big up and downs during the week, and of course, not really, because they were perfect during round-robin play.
By the way, Victor, nice opening. Chateau Bucto.
Chateau Bucto.
That could have been anything.
I know. That's why I'm going to enunciate every syllable. Chateau Bucto Curling Club, of course, Chateau Bucto Bay, which is on the northeast coast of Nova Scotia, not far. The Norwegians, as we say, from Oslo. And yes, looking for their first ever world championship. It'll be Canada who has the hammer, Linda. They got that by virtue of their finishing clear of everyone else, 9 straight wins. However, they did flip for the stones. Norway won the toss. They selected the yellow stones, so Canada will have hammer and play red.
It's interesting when you talk about these two teams, and you often say if a team has never made the playoffs before, you wonder how they will perform. Well, yesterday Norway got fortunate, and now you have to wonder if they're sort of one of those happy to be here kind of teams, or if they truly believe they have a good chance and go out and play a solid game.
Yeah, I think under most circumstances that might be kind of the thought process, Linda, but I think with Norway they really do have, you and I have spent so much time in Norway. They do have this thing about liking we've heard Christian Sorum, Igor Remso say, for example, we like to play Canada in the semifinals. So this is a final, but they love playing Canada, and we've seen such a history over the years. Dorothy Nordby, of course, winning in Winnipeg, her world championship, and they just seem to get up for Canada on a regular basis.
Linda, let's talk a little bit about the rules. There has been, of course, the combination of rules between the world and Canada, but there still are some differences.
There are, and in this case, we're not playing under what we normally see as world ice. It's the skinnier Canadian ice. There are sweeping differences. If you're playing the tick, where the other team sets a stone in motion, all of you can run out and brush it if you wish, but behind the tee line still, if you're the non-delivering team, only the acting skip may brush. Big change, of course, if you run out of time, you lose the game. In Canada, there are other rules that kick in, and you have 73 minutes and 2 one-minute timeouts, which is brand new for world play.
So Norway will get us going. The Norwegian lead is Åse Celius. And indication from both coaches was open first end, maybe open couple of ends.
Yeah, we talked, you and I, Linda, talked about it before the game started. And I know, let's remember, these are juniors, and they're the best juniors in the world, obviously. They're in the final for the World Junior Championship. But we do see with junior teams the tendency to play the game fairly wide open and clean. Now, I think that in this case, that's a little bit more dangerous for Canada, Victor, than it would be for Norway. I think that the Canadian team had a little bit more experience as far as playing the closed game, and secondly, I think that the longer you let Norway stay in the game, the more dangerous it becomes.
Linda, both have had their fair share of television exposure, I would think. Certainly the Canadians we know have appeared in the final of this year's Canadian Championship in Victoria.
It's still different, though. They're out there all by themselves, and every time you hit the ice in a final with all the extra pressure of playing trying to win the event, of course, but with television and all the eyes on you, it's a little bit extra pressure for sure.
Now here's an opportunity. The stone from the Norwegian lead comes deep.
Yeah, you could certainly use that and take advantage of the fact that you have last rock, having gone through the round robin undefeated. But you can see that Jillian is going to hit it.
Yep.
So obviously the plan, as you suggested, Vic, after having talked to both coaches, that the plan was to play wide open and clean and try and not get involved in too much
Nice shot.
come around curling. So
Good one.
there's a good indication right there. You could.
In semifinal action, it was Norway with the tendency to play it a little more open. Lots of blank ends at the start of that game, whereas Canada actually scored 2 in the first end in semifinal action and really then dominated throughout the game. Never in trouble, got deuces in 2 of their first times when they had the hammer, and really cruised to victory in that game.
Marianne Roervik, Åsa Celius with the brush on this first stone by the Norwegian second, Stina Mo.
Now, Linda, as you know, I stayed up most of last night going through the stats of the week.
Yes.
And in the round robin game, they had quite an interesting game. Canada was down throughout that game and stole a point in 8, and then gave up 1 in 9 and took 2 in 10 to win 5-4.
Well, I think one of your points is very well made, Ray, when you talk about how well Norway plays against different countries. If you look at who Norway lost to, they lost to Canada, they lost to Russia, though, and Denmark, not contenders by the end of the week. So it truly is, it appears, the kind of team, Lynn Githmark, who does get up for the better teams. And that's why if you're in this final today, you have to be a little bit concerned about her ability to do that again.
Because boy, did she have some chances yesterday. We already mentioned that in our opening comments, to close off that Swedish team and really shut the door on them. Missed some golden opportunities. One I can remember clearly, 4th or 5th in, a hit for 4.
Yeah, she had a tap back for 3 one end, and the next in a tap back for 4. Missed both of those final shots in those 2 ends, and then later in the game got her opportunities and actually got some breaks on Sweden, making some shots for her, actually.
Let's take a look at that line score from the round robin draw, and it was in the 4th women's draw, Linda, and it was again a very good game for Jill Mouzar.
It was. If you look early, it was Norway dominating, stealing a point early, but it was then late. The steal by Canada and the deuce in 10. Good setup and getting the deuce with Jill Mouzar just curling great at 87%, and that was truly the difference. It appeared in the numbers in that game.
The Canadian second, Bliss Comstock, makes the hit at the back of the 12 as we do play up and down the sheet here in this first of the gold medal game, Women's World Junior Championship from the Colisée in Trois-Rivières.
In the semifinals, Marianne played very well, and if there was one Canadian player who struggled a little bit, it was Bliss at the second position for Canada, rolling out on a number of hits. And so we'll see how these 2 players can perform in this game. Marianne, I think, will be very key for Norway at the 3rd position.
Marianne Roervik, who is also in her 8th appearance. She's just 20. She could make a 9th appearance if she qualifies next year. The age difference a little different.
It just shows you the difference in the 2 countries. For example, the lack of numbers of players in Norway. It's getting better. You were saying, Vic, that they've got it up to 2,500 curlers now in Norway, which is a little disappointing considering they've been at the game a long time, but they are getting a little better. But to get back to a World Championships 8 or 9 times is just unheard of. I mean, we have so many terrific players in this country.
Well, something unheard of in Norway is that they are getting sponsorship now.
Notice the way Lynn holds the brush, and you'll see she even turns her body even more so sometimes. It's like she's just getting ready to leave the building. She always holds her body on an angle.
Good hit. Sponsorships are an interesting thing, Vic, because that is something we talk about why teams can perform well. One thing is Norway getting back many times to a World Championship. That makes them better and better, but it still comes down to getting some funding to travel and compete.
Well, that's in fact one of the bonuses of having a couple of medals now. World Championships. they don't have to reach into their own pockets as much to travel. As the Canadian third, Paige Matty from Antigonish makes the hit, and happy birthday to Paige, who today turns 19. So happy birthday to Paige Matty.
Well, what a nice birthday present if they could spend the next 2 hours and maybe come away with a world championship. You'll never forget that birthday. On the other hand, if you happen to live...
Yeah, I wasn't going to mention that. We won't touch that one right now. Wide open play, Canada playing with the hammer, hoping to blank, and looking like both teams just trying to get comfortable on the ice and calm down the nerves.
First stone for the Norwegian skip, Lynn Githmark. Able to hold it. The difference for Linda, according to their coach, Ole Ingvaldsen, is that she's matured. His was his word. That she handles the stress a little better, handles the emotion of the game better, and that's why there's a dramatic difference between 3 and 6 in her best record to date and being in the final this year.
Yeah, definitely that would be part of it, Vic, and she's had lots of opportunity, as we say, in her 8th appearance to get the experience. The one thing you'll notice about the two skips, Jill does have a little bit better delivery as far as being more consistently to line of target. You'll see Lynn drift a little bit on occasion, and that is one thing that sometimes costs her, but I think you're saying the same thing. Mentally, she seems much stronger, and she's making those big shots when she needs it.
Ooh, and just catches enough. Jill Mouzar with her first.
That wasn't a lot of weight on that hit, and that's one thing you have to be careful with. Ray already talked about the up weight going straight, but when you pull it back, it will curl a little bit, even on those outside-in shots. The hits are going to run hog to hog around 9 seconds, hack weight 11.5. The draw will be around 14 seconds, but late it does slow down a tiny bit. And during round-robin play, Jill, the Canadian skip, had the superior draw percentages, second best in all the teams as far as skips go at 81%. And those ice times are brought to you by Karcher. But you just see Lynn's foot, sliding foot, goes a little bit past the center of gravity, and that means she gets a little bit of drifting. And so it is a little bit of feel going on, Ray, to make those big shots. And there's another thing we did notice in semifinal action, the lack of rotation. Although this isn't an arena that full of people, it's still showing up that you need extra rotation out there, and that didn't have very much at all.
That's why I suggest to you that, Linda, I think that each end that goes by and Canada doesn't mix it up a little bit is to the advantage of the Norwegians. I think that Lynn does collapse a little bit in her delivery, and as you already mentioned, has a tendency to slide away from the target line, but because of her mechanics, that could cause you more problem if you're playing the fine shots, the quiet come-arounds, than it does in the wide-open shots.
A blank in the first of this women's gold medal game. Canada maintains control of the hammer here in Trois-Rivières. We welcome you back to the Colisée in Trois-Rivières. It's home of the Vikings of the Quebec Major Senior Hockey League. Senior hockey very big in the province of Quebec. As we go to the second, scoreless after the blank of the first, and the Canadian team skipped by Jill Mouzar out of Chedabucto. Not far from Cape Breton on the northeast coast of Nova Scotia with the hammer. And the first stone from the Norwegian lead, Åsa Celius, is in the free guard zone just off the center
Well,
line.
that'll force a come around, Vic, and that's, I think, quite frankly, that's to Canada's advantage. She got the blank end that she wanted. She maintains last rock. Yes, it is a center guard, but let's use it. Let's get around it. Keep it in front of the T line.
Stop it!
Great numbers from Chloe in round robin play, and then in the semi-final against the US, she posted an 84%, the highest on her team. So she's had a terrific week.
All right, Chloe. I got a 31.
Chloe will come back 12.
Fart.
Mye ser du? La oss bli 15. Det er ikke noe vits i andre å gå for dragningen.
Just having a conversation about how much can be seen of that stone.
Spent a little time working on your Norwegian. You knew, of course, she'd be in the final, I guess.
Just judging from all the pointing, I was just guessing a little bit there.
That's all.
And Osa.
Nei, du kommer ikke hele kroppen. Hele
Well,
kroppen.
Flash.
You go back to this.
Ut mot,
It was an interesting call, Vic, really. She put up the center guard. The Canadian stone came too deep. You can just ignore that stone and play a come around. You don't have to play back to it in any fashion. The thrower then thinks that she's playing back to the backing and tapping it back, and that's maybe what she had said to her.
Toppy.
But if you're going to play that way, then don't play the rock short.
We got room. Line only. We're there. How much? T. Whoa, back four. No line.
We do often see at the start of the game, especially after playing an open end involving a lot of hits, that the draws are a little bit strong. There's still a bit of adrenaline pumping, quite excited about playing the game. Those ones have to be short or just top house, as we always say. It allows the other team to play onto them. Another hit called, so we'll see if this one reacts differently.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the call it being a hit. She's calling her to hit it. And there's just no advantage to that at all. You can come down and sit in front of it, and maybe tap it back, but play it like it's a draw almost. Much better line on this one.
Ja, det er bra, Stine.
Bra spill, det.
Nydelig, Stine. Fin fart. Veldig bra fart.
Farten var en bra fart.
Bra fart.
The thing you have to keep in mind, all of us have to keep in mind, is that they are juniors and they are going to make small mistakes. I think one of the funniest things we had happen in the Briar this year, Vic, Linda, was when Brad Gushu made the comment about, he said to one of the guys, well, should we do the junior thing and just split the house here? And it was just a great comment, considering the situation. And of course, what a wonderful team that is now. And that's a team that you're going to see a lot of in the future.
Okay.
The boys from the Rock really know how to play this game and got a good feel for it. But they went through the junior stage, as everybody does.
And you're only going to learn, Linda, the senior level of play. You're only going to learn those by that kind of experience. You're not going to experience that kind of thing here.
Well, the difference with junior play too, Vic, is that you do get more mistakes from your opponent, and you always factor that into your game plan and your shot selection. So when you get to the bar, though, you're not going to get those mistakes. You're not going to get the strategy mistakes, and you're certainly not going to get the execution mistakes that do happen in junior play. Good execution here as they exchange stones. And it really is Canada who have last rock advantage, who should be making the play more up in the house if anyone's going to do it. Norway has to be a little careful about letting those stones gather at the back, so they're certainly going to get rid of them, but Canada could be the one in this case to just draw it into the top of the rings and see what happens.
The older of the Comstocks, this is Bliss.
Okay. Too much weight. 15.
Ja.
Ikke hardt.
Du kører ikke så mye her nå.
Jeg ser det.
Marianne and Lynn will be going on to the Ford Worlds in Javla.
Who would their skip be,
Hvor er
Vic?
det?
That would be Doherty Nordby.
Oh, Doherty Nordby.
Doherty Nordby. So Hannah Woods, the longtime third for Doherty, is injured and not playing, and so these two will make up a five-man team, and then they'll decide
Sorry.
on any given draw which player will sit as they get the double and the roll, but just behind the tee line, and it's popped out maybe half a stone.
Like a 60 or 70 guy.
Nice shot, just the same. She gets a little roll, changes the format here.
These are two of our best thirds as far as round robin
Wait
play
only.
goes, but I have been impressed.
No line.
We've seen Paige at the Canadians. I was there all week, but I have been really impressed with Marianne and what I saw in
Don't touch it.
semi-final action
Whoa,
from the
whoa.
Norwegian third. So it should be an interesting battle at that position.
Spiller 15, samme fart. Ja, gjerne.
What was that?
Hva var den på klokka? 3:10 eller noe? Den er det samme som det.
It's a great little routine she has in the hack, lining up, focusing. You can see, taking that moment, deep breath, and then she goes.
Nei.
Yeah, you look at her numbers through the week, and she really has played very well. She played well yesterday as well, as the team did, setting it up a number of ends for their skip, who just struggled a little bit in closing, but finally managed to get the win. You have to remember, though, in that final 10th end, they were Norway was up 3, and Sweden did have a draw 4-3 to tie the game, and played very low percentage draw, quite frankly, and unfortunately missed it, and so Norway got the victory.
Paige Maddie. As we play in the second.
Whoa, whoa.
Whoa. Ja! Ja! Ja!
The Comstocks with a big scrub trying to get it by that center guard, and they can't.
Ut da! Kom igjen!
Sorry, guys.
Ja, bra.
Den er inne, ikke sant? So tight.
Ikke så farlig, skal det en liten gard, kanskje?
That's the tricky part when you get near center line. It does react a little bit differently.
Yeah, I'm right behind that sheet.
Den har gått inn på
I have the
alle
perfect seat, I might add. $75 seat right here. But she was down a little bit in weight, I think.
Så blir det eventuelt forkant, da. Nære. Ja.
As soon as you do get to that center line.
Nære som mulig. Viktigste er at den ligger her.
390,
På den siden.
390. Han godt ligger 3.
Mentioned Lynn going to the Worlds.
85.
Linda, they have an interesting way, an approach, and I guess it has to do with the numbers and the lack of depth of the Norwegians.
Det ser ut så lite is.
Almost an all-star approach
Så litt til.
in development.
Kom da.
It is the numbers, Vic. They really don't have that many players competing in women's play in particular. And so for Lynn and Marianne to go to the World Championships with Doherty Norby is going to be a very important experience for them to learn from Doherty and to get prepared, because they are the next generation of player for that country.
En spill.
A good shot here can put the team, this Norwegian team, in a good position to seal a point.
Dere styrer,
Get
det
them
må
off to a
krysse
good
linja.
start.
Det må krysse linja. Vent litt, vent litt. Oi,
I've
den er
already
fin, da.
pointed out, Linda, very little rotation on the handle of her stone,
da.
but great weight right
Ja,
here.
bra spilt, Elin.
Hva var tida på? 75? Ja. I think I like the draw because we're not even getting shot if we make the double. Yeah, but it clears the host out. What do you like?
I like the hit.
I'd be hitting.
Me too.
Or if you draw and make a little mistake on the draw, you'll not be seeing that button.
What do you like, Liz? The draw or the double? I think I like getting rid of something. Okay. Right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, normal. I'll throw out regular.
Jill Mouzar is the newcomer to this team.
If we can get this, it's going to clear the host out, right? So, yeah.
Doubles there.
Regular.
Last year, this team was skipped by Robin Maddie, who is their 5th player, and they lost to Marlies Miller. from the new Tana and Saskatoon in the Canadian final. Robin then became too old for Canadian rules because it's 20 in Canada. And Jill Mouzar was asked to join the team because she had been their biggest rival, having lost two Nova Scotia junior championships in 2002 and 2003.
Okay.
Misses the double.
It looked like she threw that pretty well,
Yeah,
and
she
not a
did.
lot of weight. That one didn't move for her.
No,
I
that's
think a little unlucky.
As soon as you step it up a
Jeg
wee
spiller
bit.
den. Hva er retning viktigst?
Spiller
Du må
3-8.
krysse linja.
Nei, samme is, men
Same spot would be perfect for the young Norwegian skip.
And then Jill will be facing a very difficult situation. That stone was in a great spot the first time. The guard that was just top 12, but really closed down the rings.
Just a little loose with the grip, and so she doesn't get a lot of positive rotation on the handle. You can see the rock coming down. It hasn't made
Dra den inn, den kommer
more
ikke
than
opp.
half a turn at this point.
Kom igjen! Kom igjen, mer enn den. Mer enn den. Ja! Ta i litt til. Litt til. Kom igjen, da. Kom igjen, da. Ja, synd det.
I wonder if there's a double there now for a possible
vi får
deuce.
jo dommeren,
I
da.
should just draw down or tap this back for one, Vic. You take a look at Lynn's delivery here. Drops down fairly low, fairly quickly.
Dommeren vil ligge der, vet du.
And then when she lets it go, it's very loose with the grip, and so she doesn't put any positive rotation on it. You can see that it turns only about one rotation on the way down the ice. Now, on some ice surfaces, you'll have a problem and lose stones. You put 10,000 people in a building, have a soft surface, and that lack of rotation can cost you big time.
Well, there's this building seats around 3,000, and they've had wonderful crowds all week. And I'd suggest there's close to 2,000 people here for this final.
Tremendous crowd. They've already done a great job in talking to all the people when we got here. It's just been a fantastic turnout of people. They're in the 20,000 area with throughout the week, and
Right off. We need back
the ice surface has been great.
No line.
Boy,
This will come at the end,
No
though.
line
It should
at all, Vic.
finish a bit.
has to finish in big time.
But is concerned about the weight.
No, it'll slide right by. Stop in time. Yeah, it'll still be a steal of one for Norway. And the Norwegians, looking for their first ever junior women's world title, will take the early lead here in Trois-Rivières.
Burde ikke dere reddes?
Colleen Jones and Mark Dacey. They'll represent Canada at the Ford Worlds. From Gävle, Sweden, and TSN will have coverage of the semifinals, April 23rd and 24th, the Ford Worlds, to wrap up another season of champions here on TSN. As we welcome you back to the Coliseum in Trois-Rivières, and we go to the third of this women's junior women's world championship, and it's 1-0 Norway after the steal of one by the Norwegians in the second.
Well, Jillian threw that last rock pretty well. It just didn't make the little move for him, and she didn't overthrow it badly. It just maybe had a foot or two much weight, and as a result didn't make that final little, because she threw it right up the stick, as I mentioned earlier, right behind the sheet. I have a perfect seat here, and she threw it very, very well.
Wait only. Let it go. Yep.
And when you are facing a stone on the button, guarded by a stone virtually in the top of the 12-foot, drawing against that many points, drawing against two, it wasn't a bad shot to just give up the single, but now it will be up to Canada to make some moves and to try and get some stones set up and go for the deuce.
Well, and what set that situation up was a nice hit and roll by Mary Ann, I believe.
It was.
To double and a hit and roll. And that's the kind of shots that Mary Ann made pretty regularly yesterday in the semifinal. So, as you've already mentioned, Linda, she's impressive. She looks very strong.
Han stoppet til. Åna lenger enn til. Lenger enn til. I en retning, da. Jeg holder på å plukke, jeg holder på å skifte køl hele tiden. Sitt da.
Ja, det er greit, det.
Litt dårlig køl på den. Litt dårlig køl på den, holder på å skifte hele veien, men jobber med å ikke skifte køl. Sånn da.
Slipped a little too deep. Jillian's going to play around the corner guard she threw up.
We're
T-line.
We got 46.
No line.
It's good, Joe.
Whoa.
Line only top. We're T anyway. No line. No. Sit down.
Can you finish?
We're all there.
Okay.
Sit.
10
Okay,
teams
Crow.
began play
All right.
last week here in Trois-Rivières. 4 of them finishing clear of everyone else. The Canadians going through undefeated, 9 straight wins, followed by
Alternativa garden.
Sweden, Norway,
rolig, eller?
and then the United States. So they are your 4, or were your 4 playoff teams. And of course, Canada, winner of the US, Norway beating Sweden. As for the rest of the standings, the other teams, somewhat disappointing for countries which you expect better now, Switzerland, Scotland. You'll see, of course, the Italian skip, Diana Gaspari, and the Danish skip, Madeleine Dupont. They'll represent their countries at the Ford Worlds in Gävle.
Nei.
An interesting choice of shots called by Lynn, because she could only see a quarter of that stone. She played to hit it. She wrecked on the guard. She could have come down and just tapped it back or sat in front of it.
Really try to get a rollover in front.
She got a little fortunate with the way it ended up. It looked like it might even just raise the Canadian guard into the house, but takes it out and does roll away with the shooter.
Yep. Hard. Well, yep. Hard.
Double down. Hard.
Looking for the roll.
Hard. Okay.
All right.
Still Norway line 1 without the hammer, back of the 8-foot.
Spiller 12. Vanlig 12. Ser du kosten?
Positioning of the broom, you can see how much more it does curl on that inside to outside shot. Lots of ice being given for this hit.
Ja! Ha! Ha! Harta!
Oi, kom igjen, vi trenger stand.
Det er greit, den treffer. Du drifta litt, men det var fin fart. Veldig
Despite
fin
the
fart.
weight, Linda, that crossed over the
Yeah, that
nose.
inside out shot will curl for sure. I think there's a tendency also on those kind of stones when you throw them across your body a little bit and get them going, and that's kind of what happened there, I think.
Control. Control down.
Bliss Comstock.
Whoa. Control down, Joe. Whoa. Get in there. Wow, that's straight.
She's going to get a piece of it, but certainly not the
All right,
roll.
Bliss. Okay. That is straight. Just get more load on this one, so. Okay.
Ja.
Vanlig 12.
Ja.
The other thing you have to remember when you're a player is you look at the one shot, which is the inside out shot, which curls so much even with a hit, and now you go to the other turn and it's so straight, and sometimes you see players struggle and end up playing with the stone a little bit, fighting whichever turn they might be having a problem with. There's a little bit of a wobble. Mentally, it's difficult to go from that big shot, big curl, to the straight shot. You have to really focus on a clean release.
Litt til.
Det er fin fart. Og 14-3, så
Now you
bra.
can definitely
I come
ignore
really
the
good,
stone
though.
and just go and tap yours at the front,
Here.
split it, lots of shots.
As Linda says, you can ignore this stone completely and play through this hole here or play a split on this one.
Close. Clean. Whoa. Yep. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa. No.
Yep. Hard. Hurry.
That's
And they
not,
won't be able to hold the shooter.
that's not a lot of weight, Victor. That's like less than hack almost, or is hack maybe.
Den
Den
er
ligger
veldig
ikke
nære.
veldig nære.
Den er veldig nære.
Ja, kan vi ikke få rulla inn i boet? Ja. Jo. Spiller rolig 12 da.
I don't blame
Yeah,
Lynn
it's
for
got a
wanting to
little
hit
fart in
this.
this
If you absolutely positively knew how to get in behind it, it would be nice to
Pretty
try.
tight, you're right.
But it's tight to the rings, and they have struggled right now with a little bit of the ice reading. It seems to be a little straighter in spots, trying to get around that center line stone. You definitely will get lots of curl to the edges, but around the center, it's a little tougher.
Ja, 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 ja.
Marianne Rorvik.
She was a little inside on that.
Oh, and she'll get nothing. And so now a chance for the Canadians. Go around or play the split.
Play the split.
Split.
It's a big break. We were talking about how well Marianne had played, and there's an open miss.
Yep.
Just gonna play this. Play the split. Cross
Back eight.
here.
Yeah.
Push that there. Try and roll it in.
How much? Line's tight. Line. Yep, for line.
You get your deuce this way.
Yep,
This
line.
way with a
Yep,
good
line,
shot.
line. Yep. Yep, lift. Hey, yep. Roll hard bliss. Yep, roll hard bliss. Yep, hard bliss, hard.
One will go.
Hard.
Catch enough of the top, and they can't.
Sit.
And will it sit in time at the back? It just does. And it's buried back there. There is that long corner.
Bare ta den og prøve å gå for dobbelt. For jeg kommer ikke til den der. Jo,
Det
det
er
gjør
jo
jeg.
masse rundt her, da.
Ja. Men den her er også kjip, da. Men
Men så tar du ikke den, så splitter den.
spiller 12 her, da.
12.
Rolig 12 liksom der.
Så kan ikke vi kjøre 15 eller sånn, så vi blir liggende?
15 på grønnen der, da.
Nei?
Ja.
One other thing, Linda,
Blir det 15?
Ray, the coach was saying that
Yeah,
they've
masse
benefited
her.
by Githmark and her team is that they've traveled more. And that's where that sponsorship money comes into play. They've spent more time at Bonspiels
Jeg ser
in
ingenting av
Switzerland and
den.
in Germany,
Men køller det
in
ikke innmari
Scotland,
mye rundt
playing
her, da?
against
Køller,
women's
skal jeg
teams. They've
spille
never
15?
played a junior
Yeah.
team this year, another junior team.
She's just drawing down to this, but boy, she's not taking a lot of ice. We've already talked about how this ice goes to the wings. And obviously, she gets a little wide on this, but
She's actually playing to tap it, so I think that's the ice call. They went and looked at maybe playing a hit and roll off the top one, because even if she makes this, Canada can play the split.
Yeah, she's going to move far enough. Enough for her? No. What a break that is
it's
now.
really just a bad call, Vic. That's all. It's just an inexperienced call. There's no question about it. You can play down to the face it if you want.
And now another chance at the split.
For line 3.
T-line or back 4.
If they're coming right around, throw a T-line just in case they're coming around, okay?
In that case, she's seeing a shot
Pretty
that's
quick.
not there. Or low percentage there.
We're just gonna throw a T-line weight and try to tap them both top 12. How much weight's that, guys? 6. T-line, I'm just going for T-line weight, guys. So we'll go 50.
You know, considering it's coming up at the end of the season, those are not your best squiggles. I don't know
If it's hanging,
what's
we'll try
happened to
stick
you,
it
but
around
just
there.
that wasn't your best squiggle.
I thought the squiggle was fine,
Oh.
actually.
Right.
Where is Chateau Bacteau? Close to what? You knew that I was coming.
Yeah,
back.
absolutely.
No line.
Where's it, guys?
No line.
Wait only. We're coming around.
Uh-oh. Great opportunity here if they can just split it on to line 3. And they are coming around. Around and deep. And sits in time to line 2, back 12.
Big curl.
The two skips are really struggling with where to put the broom. I think she threw that pretty well, and it was just a little bit too much ice.
Just wouldn't come back at all.
Well, she said she was a little outside, but they are having trouble with
Nå
that
fryser
spot.
nedpå.
Not curling quite as much, perhaps, as we've seen during the week, or they've seen during the week, and we saw yesterday.
Er det kanskje 80 der? Det er på midten her, da. Jeg spiller 80, eller?
So here's your out. A chance to draw to the back one and take the end away.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity to get yourself out of this. It looked like you might have 2, maybe even 3 scored against you with a good split there. You heard the comment from the Canadian skip that just a little bit wide.
Silius and Mo want to drag it all the way back. Take it right down to the face. The Canadian Stone sitting back 12. Take it all the way back. Trying to put it right on the face. And they'll take it back edge of the 4. Quiet tap, avoid the jam. Is it there for 3?
You can definitely tap it, Vic. It's just such a tricky little spot. Jill's first stone with drawaway went so straight. I know she's wondering where to put the broom.
This is strictly a weight shot. Just try and drive it past there. If you can do so, you can score 3.
Theirs is just back 4 and ours is back 12. More than a foot, way more than a foot.
This is her routine, Linda.
You have to have a double layer of material there to play enough games.
Just gonna rub out the material on that thigh. Final stone, quiet tap for a possible 3 here in the 3rd.
It's close, it's close, it's close. It's got to curl just a bit more.
Jill Mouzar, nothing from the front end. The Comstock's backing right off. Oh, again, missed opportunity. And another steal of 1 for Norway here in the 3rd.
This is wide. It's okay. It's a little wide. I wasn't. Yeah. No way, Paige. No, you're a little wide. It's okay.
Well, here are the most recent champions, 6 of them as we look back. Familiar name is Marlies Miller, of course, the defending Canadian champion. Cassie Johnson won 2 years ago. Suzanne Goody has gone on to represent PEI, of course. Melissa McClure out of New Brunswick. 1988, though, was when they first started playing for the Women's Junior World Championship, Linda. And the winner that year was?
Julie Sutton?
Yes, you're right.
But we talked about Linda talked earlier about the fact that, you know, there's nerves, and I think in that situation there, Linda, Jillian really, in my opinion, should have played the same shot she played, only played it with less weight, tried to tap it back, maybe score 2, and for sure get your single. She tried to play it with bumper weight, and that was a tough bumper weight shot.
It's one of those things where probably the ice was correct for that back 12-foot shot. It's a little bit straighter on that spot, and they talked about it in the break about they've discovered that spot. And it's one of those things where Jill's coming out a tiny bit full of the broom and doesn't recognize it. And that often happens. You're coming out straight and don't realize maybe your body's drifting a little bit, or just maybe your line to target's a little bit full. And she's so close, so you're right. If you had that little bit less weight, probably the brushers could have manipulated it to make the shot for her.
I'd be somewhat worried, though, Linda, when I'm the skip and I'm going down and saying I wasn't inside, I wasn't outside, and my third is saying yes you were. On both, yes you were, and that kind of doubt within the skip's mind, even now as we play the 4th, that would be a problem for me.
Well, it depends on the person, Vic, and certainly I don't think Paige would have said it to her in quite the same fashion if they had not done this before, and not decided that if somebody's a little bit outside of the broom, they're going to talk about it and get it straightened out. Jill throws a pretty straight stone, so I really don't think that she'll have much difficulty making a few adjustments and figuring out that outturn that was just a little bit wide. A little break there with Norway having the stone go through, so here's an opportunity again to utilize that corner guard, and we do know it curls a lot to the edges.
Yep. Hard.
Absolutely. Look at that move. My goodness. They'll bury it just behind the tee line for shot stone.
She touched the top dart a little bit.
Out or in?
Did you move it?
Good one. Where?
What?
In or out or?
Did you move it that way a little bit? She moved it that way a little bit.
Gå frisen helt ned her, da.
No harm done, says Lynn Githmark.
But that's handled very nicely by Lynn Githmark, because that's a stationary guard, and the rock going around was very close getting by it. And if you did touch it, then that can be a very questionable situation. Don't you agree, Linda?
Yes, it could. It was just by that front stone, and we weren't clear when Bliss touched it, if it was when the stone was past it already or not. But now Stina will be called to play off that front stone, get rid of it. Wow, this is just going sideways. Again, she crosses over and gets rid of the stone, but almost pushes it onto one in the house.
Ja, men jeg kan ikke spille andre veien, vet du, for da ligger den gule. Du kan bare kline, du kan få en nivløs og kline til, eller?
I like that. Control. Yeah!
Bliss has been working in practice on her control weight. They felt that maybe that was the struggle in the semifinals, where she rolled out on a couple of hits. She didn't play badly, but just had a couple of rollouts, and they felt just bring the weight down a little bit. And today, she looks like she's being very successful at controlling that hit.
Canada down by 2, lying 2 now.
Kjappen er bra.
Vic, one of the problems for Norway when we're talking about lack of rotation is also what's happening on those peels attempts when they're playing that inside-out turn that curls so much. You take away the rotation, you lose a little consistency, but it also curls so much differently. And that's why Stina is getting those rocks to just go sideways when it's got a lot of curl to it.
Take a look at this release, Linda. This rock does not curl even a half rotation on the way down. She pulls herself right off it, pull right away, straight away, and take a look at that. There's absolutely no rotation whatsoever. That will absolutely kill her eventually. You can't throw a rock like that.
And that's why on a straighter spot they were able to hold it, but when it curls, it is curling so much more for her rock than anyone else.
Bliss Comstock trying to go around that Norwegian stone, just top edge of the 12-foot. Well, don't you in your coaching talk about cocking the stone a little bit to the 4 and I guess it would be 4 and 8 o'clock positions according to turns?
We do talk about angling the stone to start, Vic. It's not mandatory. You can certainly start the in-turn with the handle straight. But the problem is how you grip it and how you release it. And there you saw a very positive release from Marianne. She makes sure it's got rotation, and that stone will run much more true than the one we just saw with no rotation.
The key is to keep it in the fingers until the time of release, and then you have the opportunity to roll it off the fingers.
Now this is a straight spot and it ends up as a rollout, but if you see, there's the angled position to start, Vic, and there's the good high wrist with the follow through and the positive release, and right away we're seeing almost one rotation right out of her hand.
And we talked about the coach of this Norwegian team, that's Ole Ingvaldsen. First time ever they've qualified. In the final, looking for gold.
Good shot.
Ja. Skal jeg legge på litt, eller?
Ja, du må treffe den her. Da blir det rulle corner, da.
Ja. Og bare ta
Men den er ikke inne, men det er litt kjipt å legge her, da.
Ja, det er like greit, kanskje. Kan du få lov til å
Den er
prøve seg?
viktigst å ta, for det er cornergarden.
Ja. Men jeg må
Which
ta
one
den.
to hit, whether to try the double,
Ja.
12.
which they've
Jeg legger
decided
på litt,
on.
da.
Ja.
for the Canadians as the shooter will kick in that Canadian stone.
Got that?
Now again, we're saying that
Probably
these
gonna
are junior
dive
curlers,
here.
but if you're not going to play the
Starts
really
coming
big
right
up weight, you're probably better to hit the closer guard and then see what Canada does, because that is a very difficult double to make with that quiet hit weight.
T-line.
Lots.
Looks like lots.
Tons, guys.
Read only. Looks really good, guys. That's good. It's good, Paige. Hvor skal han treffe henne?
Hæ?
Der.
11.
Well, she's trying the double. She lined the double up, so that's what she's trying. You can see Marianne looking at the angle.
Hæ? Jeg visste han traff.
Trying to get the double.
Linda, you were talking to me and you had the salt shakers out and using the water glasses and trying to show me, but you were thinking there's a different way of approaching angle like this, isn't there?
Well, quite often, Vic, you see them over curl these shots, which is the case there. I don't think people understand quite how steep the angle is on those two stones, and sometimes they line it up from the side when you really don't get a true feel of where you have to hit the first stone to make the second hit. The second problem with Lynn's shot call, it was fine, absolutely no problem with that, but if you're going to do that, you do risk when you hit the center line stone instead of the wide stone and roll out. Now you give Canada a much better chance to spread the two stones out.
Her option, of course, was to hit the shot rock and try to roll behind that front stone. This would be a little gift for Canada if they can put this deuce away. Second point being raised in by the Norwegians. Take advantage of this now, and as Linda mentioned, you can spread them out.
Still 12, girls.
Hard, guys.
Well, here comes Paige Maddy now out to join Bliss Comstock, Chloe Comstock. It's called opportunities. The Canadians had lots in the third, missed it. Big scrub now, everybody trying to drag it to the 12, and they will to the edge of the 8 to line 2.
Jeg ser du syns den er vrist.
Du har ikke noe mer kjapperen?
Nei, du får ikke kjappen, du ser ikke se akkurat hele, tenker jeg.
Men da is på midten av den, og så kjører jeg jævlig hardt.
Ja, ikke uten rett. Sett rett.
We know this outside in shot runs very, very straight, but you can see where she's holding the brush right in the middle of the stone. Boy, you better not get this one started, and you better throw some weight at this, or you're gonna. This is a.
Well, she's trying to bounce it right across the rings and take Jill's end away, but this is a very tough shot.
Final stone for Norway, Lynn Githmark,
Vent.
here in the fourth.
Kølla. 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 Ta gull. Ta gull. Kos gull. Kom igjen.
And right on the nose, and will sit in the 8. Chance for 2 now for Canada to tie it.
Lynn did show us she can play the little bit of extra weight, threw it pretty well, and
She did throw it well.
yeah, that's about all she could do is try and get a little bit of a roll, and now it's up to Jill, nose hit.
Just a bit up control. Up control.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
A chance to tie.
No.
Jill Mouzar,
No.
final stone in
Never.
4. Comstocks watching it all the way. Shooter stay? No, it won't. Another missed chance for Canada, but they will get the single here in 4. Norway continues to lead. It's now 2-1 as we meet these two teams. Throwing lead stones for Canada, Chloe Comstock. For Norway, Åsa Sellius. The seconds, Bliss Comstock and Stina Moe. The thirds are Paige Maddie and Marianne Rorvik. And the skips, Canada's Jill Mouzar from the Skjerabukta Curling Club and Norway's Lynn Githmark from the Reisenga Curling Club in Oslo. Don't miss a new episode of The OC Monday at 9, 8 Central on CTV. As we welcome you back to Trois-Rivières, the Colisée, and we go to the 5th, and for the first time in the game, Norway does have the hammer. They're up 2-1 after another missed opportunity. Linda North trying to add up. I mean, rough count, and Canada give away maybe 4 or 5 points.
Well, it's hard to say because in the third end they certainly had a great chance to get 3, maybe even more, depending on if they made some earlier splits. But of course, then they wouldn't have had the hammer the next end, Vic. The last end was a really good chance, an open hit for 2. And I think Jill took a little bit too much ice. We've already said she may be a tiny bit wide on the outturns. Then you put her in a straight spot. We saw Lynn Githmark take the broom even more than inside the center of the stone. It was a very straight spot. And unfortunately for Jill, she rolls out.
It's good. Whoa, might have to go. No line. Might have to go, Jill. Yep. Just for the weight. Just for the weight. Yep, right up, right up, right up. She's got out really far. Dive so hard up there, Jill.
There's a bigger crowd today, and it's quite warm outside. It was raining actually all day yesterday. And, it looks a little bit like the ice is just starting to flatten out a wee bit. Nothing serious, but.
It's definitely a lot warmer than yesterday. That's why I thought when the lack of rotation showed up early, it might not catch these Norwegian players, but definitely warmer inside the building today. And so both teams will have to be careful with the ice surface and watch the brushing.
It's a very straight spot here, as Jillian found out.
This is Åsa Sellius, the Norwegian lead. Trying to wrap it around that center guard, and nice draw. She'll get it to the top of the 4 and bury it.
It's a nice stone. They didn't have to brush it quite that far.
Yeah.
Had to brush to get it by, but then they could have left it. Nice shot. Excellent shot. They'll run the front stone back.
And this was a call they made from the hack end, and this is when you really need, if you're going to make these calls from the hack, you really need to throw it well and give your skip a good shot.
Weight's coming down. So straight.
Just a little wobble meant that Bliss was outside and will not drive it back.
Certainly nothing wrong with the call.
Rulle hit.
Good.
Pass på at vi ruller inn, da. Alternativt så vi går for at den... Vi hadde en lignende situasjon... Oi. Vi hadde en lignende situasjon mot et eller annet land. Jeg husker ikke hva det var vi skulle gjøre. Vi tar en timeout.
You can see Lynn's concern that if she's going to call a timeout, because if she leaves that stone open, there's an opportunity for a hit and roll by Canada to get out of some trouble.
I guess so.
Ja, det var 2 garder, så den var i midten, så du skulle splitte.
Norway has last rock in this end. You got to keep that in mind. Pretty good opportunity here to jump on the offense.
Now this is one of the rule changes, Linda, you were talking about with regards to the just one coach able to come to the ice.
Well, the fact this is the first time ever in world play you can call a timeout at all. It has never been in their rules before, and they've decided that it's only the team that calls the timeout that can have their coach come out to discuss the shot.
du drar ut der,
Så
kan du
slå den
rulle
rulle,
bak
ja.
der, og da er den verdiløs.
Ja.
Så det beste løsningen er antagelig å rulle topp på den, eller rulle litt grann, rulle topp.
Slå, ja.
Ta den, og så rulle front.
Toppen, jeg er helt enig. Det var det første som
Ja.
slå meg.
Synes jeg er beste løsning.
Ja, ingen fart skal kjøpe den. Vanlig tall.
Jo, jeg synes dere spiller kjempebra.
Ja.
Hold den konsentrasjonen.
Hold det oppe.
Og så rull på topp av den.
Ok, ja. Skal jeg kjøre 12 da?
Ja.
Så ikke snart slutte på skoene på den.
Hold med. Ja, det gjør det jo. Da leder vi med 2.
She can play the hit and roll into the rings. She could split the 2 stones that are in the rings. She could go around the corner guard. Lots of options. She has the hammer. Looks like she's going to play the hit on the front stone, try and roll into the rings.
Well, Guy Hemmings is here.
Det er helt
Who's that with
perfekt
him?
is, Stine.
And a good friend of all of
Bare
ours,
slapp.
Casey
Det er helt
Gahara,
fin is.
who's
Bare slapp av, spill
been
vanlig.
very instrumental in the U.S. Curling Federations, joining us from New York City. Nice to see him here, too. And Guy tonight will play a charity game against Marie-France LaRouche, a battle of the sexes tonight here in Trois-Rivières.
Ja, ja, ha! Herta! Ha! Ha!
Ja, og så gul.
Det var litt lite is, faktisk. Det var veldig fint spilt.
Det var nydelig spilt, ja.
I was talking about that last shot that Canada played. This is the time in the game where you can sort of feel from the skip that Jill's just struggling that little bit and is a little frustrated. So if Bliss and Paige can really get something set up for her, maybe get a good roll, make the good run back, that'll really lift their spirits, and they need one of those right now.
Whoa. Yeah.
A roll like this to the edge of the 8-foot.
Er du ikke enig?
That's a nice roll, but Norway don't really have to deal with that at the moment. They've got lots of room to get in there.
Ja, hva gjør hun da?
Ja, det kan for så vidt gjøre det.
Trenger bare ha jo midten åpen, sånn sett.
Ja, vi reiser den ved Stine. Spill 10.
Play the raise, tap it back, trying to tap it into the 8-foot. Tapping the Yellowstone back.
Does it say anything, Linda, that you play a raise here rather than go around?
The come around is definitely there, Vic. They're a little bit worried about center line, and so this shot will play only down center line for a moment and then get over quickly. They'll just have to be careful to hold this because it's going to curl.
Ja. 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 Ha! Ser veldig bra ut. Hardt da. Litt tung. Litt tung på gjennom. Ja. Ja.
They're going to pop it out into the middle. Oh, no, they got a break.
Ja. Da spilte jeg det.
When we talk about shot selection for each player, the one difficulty with Stina that we've mentioned before, the lack of rotation and the amount of curl she gets with a stone, that shot for her was really pretty tough.
Whoa. No.
Whoa.
No.
She was nowhere close to the broom on that. She threw that outside a wee bit.
They're playing the tick on the front one now to make the contact.
She got the good break.
Well, I 2 without here in 5.
Nice call by Jillian, just pick it up.
It's brutal.
Good call by the
brutal, guys,
skipper to
sorry.
pick that up.
I just came out sideways, not behind the rock or anything.
Well, I talked about the fact they need a big shot. Sometimes you need a break, and maybe that little break will pick up their spirits too.
Well, you go back in this end, and the Norwegians had a golden opportunity to put the pressure on Canada and just played against the percentages, in my opinion, in a couple of cases. But you're right, you do need sometimes a break to turn things around.
Kjør litt til da. Dobbel.
Han gula.
Dobbel.
A little sweeping there
Nei,
may have
jeg
helped
vil ha
that.
rullen. Det var fint spilt da.
These are small things, and it's easy to be critical, but those are small things that really make a difference in the overall
Yeah.
results of a game.
I kind of like her in the center. Do you? Come in this way? If we come the other way.
Like that?
Yeah. I just don't want to give them any doubles, right?
Good call here, come around the center guard. This is the turn that runs pretty straight.
Paige Maddie.
Top 4.
2-1 Norway.
Line's good.
As we play in the fifth.
Yep. Wait only.
Whoa.
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 Wait only. Just top. Just top. Just
Whoa,
top.
guys.
Just top, guys.
Stop 8.
Hard. 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 Hard.
Well, they just get it to the top edge.
Sorry.
Not little or no curl at all.
I'm all over the place.
Vi tar den. Det er ikke så bra for den dragninga rundt. Jeg ser ikke hele den, da, så det er veldig farlig. Da er med isen her. Jeg spiller vanlig 12. Den er kjip å ha der, da. Jeg liker ikke helt denne. Hvis du slår ruller inn da, ja. Og slå ruller så langt som mulig, da. 12, da.
I am surprised that she is making contact with this one. The shot stone is open and you could get a roll.
Yeah.
The rock on the 8-foot is, as Linda says, is 3/4 open, even a little bit more than that. And you could play that quietly, get the roll behind the center guard. You do have last rock set up the chance of 2 points for Norway in this end. Really puts them in great position.
Åh, den er tung. Åh. Ja, jeg prøver å lage den tunge her. Anna? Den er tung, Marianne.
You like that? I don't want to set up any doubles.
I don't like it this way, really. I'd rather come through the port.
You think? It's not a very big one. We can play it if you want.
But if we come here, then that's boom, boom.
Yeah. How's it curling this way?
Pretty good.
We could try this again if you want. I mean, that's
Because if
not
we
horrible.
wick off, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Only unless you want to go here.
It's not bad. This is her next shot, right? She's going to play on this. I don't
Yeah.
mind that, Jill.
Do you think so,
Yeah.
Paige?
Yeah, like there.
She's
I know what you're going to say. Maybe
certainly,
not.
certainly fooled us up here a few times.
If you can vary a piece of it so there's no double, but she might have a freeze to it. I think I like that, Jill. Because tight's not bad either. And then she's going to start tapping.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a lot to bump up.
Yeah, I like this call. I mean, she can.
It's top 12.
We thought she would play the in off the last time. We thought that, that Lynn would play this in off last time and try and roll
What do you guys
over
think
here
about that?
behind this rock here. But
Yeah, I know.
so she's just going to try and come down, set the rock in here.
It was interesting, they were talking about drawing through that port. It's a pretty tricky spot on that other side, and that's the spot that even Lynn right there with Marianne's shot did have difficulty with, and Jill certainly had difficulty earlier. Just if we talk about port shots, that young lady, Jill, made a fantastic port shot in the semifinal that really was the difference in the game. So I'm not going to say anything about any port shot she calls in this game, because it was a fantastic
Oh, it
shot.
sure was. It won the semifinal game for her. It was fantastic.
Going, yep.
Canadians beating the U.S.
Whoa, whoa.
Whoa.
Skip Stones here in 5. Canada's Jill Mouzar.
Whoa. Whoa.
And she'll come right down. July 2, full in the 8.
That works. It really works. Nice weight.
I think she must be playing the
Jeg har
raise here.
reisleggen her,
Linda.
men jeg går for reisen, prøver for 2. Ja, reisen her spiller 370. Må bare dytte til 4 fot. Den midterste.
That shot, you thought she would play with her first or their third stone there coming down and the in off. Is not what you think she'd play now?
You could play that. It looks like she's playing the raise on the center stone to me, with that ice and
Jeg den lang.
looking to maybe get the center open a bit too. This doesn't curl very much.
This might come right through the hole.
Well, she's definitely going to hit the stone. Whether or not she'll angle it far enough, doesn't look like it had the weight even.
Ja, det har jeg litt å slå på etterpå. I hvert fall.
Den var litt rolig,
Måtte
faktisk.
vi gå for åpne.
I'm not sure that deserves a high five.
Fy faen.
Their hands are
just
going to be
probably gonna
sorry
tap
at the
that
end of this
back,
game,
right?
that's for sure.
I would
I like
say.
that. Right here isn't horrible either.
No. What happens if we're right here?
Yeah, you're lying too.
Well, we could go here and then it takes away the tap and she can't nose it. This might be the best spot, Jill.
Okay, it's kind of hard to get to there. We have to like squeak
Yeah.
right by that, but
Okay, this is fine.
that's
If we're
it's
hanging out there.
It's a little short, then that's okay.
Yep.
Talking about there. Talked a little bit about coming the other way. Sitting in here.
Yeah, we like that too. It's pretty. It's
But it's
kind of tough.
Tough
it's
to
really
get there,
close
she
to that,
says. You can hear what she says.
Yellow one. We'd have to like just squeak by the yellow one because. What?
Going around?
Well, no. 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 We're 1 and 2. Oh, it's gonna come. Yeah, we come around these guards. What, guys?
Like halfway, right, half in front of that. So there's no draw that way. She'll have to play the little tap for one. What's Tight gonna do us? She's gonna have a super easy tap. Kind of cover half.
Yeah, do you want to try that, Paige?
Like the guard.
It's halfway.
They're discussing which shot they'd like to leave the opponent.
Yeah.
The shot they were playing would leave the
Okay.
tap. The Yellowstone top 12 foot could be tapped into the rings. They're now talking about trying to block that shot and
They'll, like,
maybe
time
block
out.
a bit of the port as well by playing the other turn, but they're going to take the
They're
timeout
going
to
to call a
talk about
timeout,
it.
yep. So they'll call on their coach.
If they do put a guard on that stone line, that's a tough draw to get a single for Norway. I got no problem with the guard there for sure.
No, it really is truly what you want to leave your opponent.
Yeah,
I don't think that there is one particular right answer. It's just what you feel is going to be her strength.
And Donald Amati is out to chat with the team.
Probably going to raise this one up. You can put it in the target a little bit. That's good. Last thing you want is to be back 4.
Yeah.
Right? Or top 4.
Yeah.
I would try it, but you've come short in disparity.
Like,
No, we're not.
no, come for here. But if we're here, that's okay?
And that's okay if you're short.
But what way are we gonna come, Jill?
Okay.
Which way? Either way.
Coming that
It's
way?
pretty tight to get to there.
I don't know if I like coming that way.
The other way's good.
It's just that she's probably gonna play that tap, right?
She's probably going to play that tap, and if you're short, if you
See,
don't come by,
yeah. Yeah, Jill,
Yeah.
I like coming this way just because I don't know what it's doing right here. If we get
This
here,
way?
great. Ideally, this is perfect, you know?
I don't really get it, guys.
I only have a minute, so you
I know.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
have to bring it here. Okay?
Okay, that's what we're.
If it doesn't have the weight, it's
Yeah,
up and down the angle on that tap.
That's what we were playing originally.
pretty quick. Okay,
Okay. So we're going.
yeah.
If we're light here, it's kind of a big.
If you can bite the 8, that's fine, huh?
You heard the explanation. They're going to
Pretty
play
much what- I don't.
this way here, try and get
Pretty
the
much what we
stone
call.
here. You heard also them say that if they happen to be light and stopped a little
What
short,
did I throw last time?
then they may cover this one up here.
So,
The only danger with
55,
the call,
60?
nothing wrong with the call, it's just that you got to be playing one shot at a time in this game, not two.
Why is it so tough for her with the other turn to maybe get behind that
Oh, you can't.
Yellowstone?
I don't think you can. Once it gets to the center line, I think it'll move it. On the outside, the wide side of center, you're right, Vic, it runs very, very straight. But,
Mine's good.
and Linda mentioned it earlier, that
Top 8, girls.
that
Top
out
8.
turn is a bit tricky
Just top
because
8.
it gets to the center line, it will go.
Mine's good. Wait,
Leave it up there, guys. Whoa. Whoa.
Mine's really
Whoa.
good. Mine's really good.
Yep.
Top 8. Yep. Yep. Hard. Hard. Hard.
Look at that. They'll get it there, and they will take that little bump away. She'd have to hit it straight back and look for a little rub as well. So Canada lying 3 without here in 5.
Really an interesting end because the end set up so well early for Norway and they just played themselves right out of position. It's one of those ends where, nice shot by the way by The Canadian skip.
Now can she bump that stone
straight back?
Straight back.
She can, Vic.
Okay. Yeah, it is. There is.
But they were looking at the front one. I think they're going to try and run the guard into the second shot rock. I don't think she even looked at the tap.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no question that's what she's playing, Linda. She likes to play the weight.
Now how will it run here, Linda?
It'll be straight.
Yeah, with that weight.
Canada lying 3 without. Final stone, Norway's Lynn Githmark. Trying to angle it back into the Canadian pile. She'll punch it through. The Canadians will steal 3 here. It's Christmas in Trois-Rivières, gifts all around.
Yeah, the Norwegians really played themselves out of this end completely. They had a golden opportunity early. That was a low percentage shot, in my opinion. I would have tapped the yellow stone back.
So we'll go to the break, and the Canadians will lead it 4-2 here in Trois-Rivières. We'll talk with Colleen Jones when we come back. The Ford Worlds, Colleen Jones, Mark Dacey. They are Canada's hopes when the world gathers for the Ford Worlds in Gävle, Sweden. And TSN will have coverage for you. We'll have the semifinals April 23rd and 24th. The Ford Worlds are coming up on TSN. It was just about a month ago at the Centurion Red Deer when Colleen Jones and her Team Canada beat Marie-France LaRouche for their 4th straight Canadian Championship. And Colleen joins us now from the Mayflower. Some unfinished business as you go to Sweden.
I think that probably describes it really well. Like, I think that we felt we had a really good championship last year in Winnipeg at the Worlds. It was such a thrill to play there. I don't think anything will ever top that feeling of seeing all those Canadian flags and people dressed in red and such a great crowd. And I kind of almost feel like we ran out of gas once we got to the final. And it definitely is unfinished business that we want to, you know, just finish up and win it.
One very big change for you as you go to Sweden this year, of course. You're not going with Randy Furby representing the men. It's your club mate, Mark Dacey. So I hope there's a seat sale for tickets from Halifax to Gävle.
Well, it's definitely cool to have another Mayflower team there. I mean, it's hard to believe that 2 teams from Nova Scotia both won the Scott and the Brier, let alone 2 teams from the Mayflower Curling Club. And it's a real honor for the club, and the province is really excited about it. I know we have a lot of family and friends heading over to Sweden with us to support us and cheer us on. And you know, we're also really looking forward now to the Olympic trials that are going to be held here in Halifax in 2005, and just the excitement that brings for the sport in this end of the country, where, you know, really there aren't a lot of curlers. So it's fabulous for the sport to get this kind of recognition and moment.
Colleen, thank you very much, and on behalf of all of us, good luck in Gävle.
You're welcome. Thank you. See you there.
And we will be there. TSN will have semifinal coverage from the Ford Worlds. Canada has the lead through 5, 4-2.
The 2004 World Junior Curling Championships from Trois-Rivières are brought to you by Nokia, official wireless phone of the Season of Champions. By Karcher, you'll look for things to clean. And by Ford, built for life in Canada.
Sit right.
Time to check the numbers after 5. They're brought to you by True Value. Help is just around the corner, and I want to see these, Linda.
Well, really, the story has been mistakes. We see the overall percentage is not that much difference, but when you see that many points stolen in the first 5 ends, it is because of mistakes, both execution and, in some cases, strategy errors. And Canada is the one with the superior numbers, and we said they needed something to boost their spirits, something to turn the game around, and they got that in the 5th end with a break on a shot by Paige Maddie, and then the big steal of 3 points.
Well, in this particular end, there's no question they got a little bit of a break there, but in that particular end, they did, but it really was, in my opinion, and once again, we must continue to say it. I mean, they're juniors. They don't have the experience, but really Norway just undid themselves in that end. I mean, they were in a position to lie 2, could have split a rock, could have drawn to the other side. Yes, they could have played the hit and roll that they didn't. They decided to play and didn't get the roll, but that's when the end turned around, and that was just inexperience, and it was a badly called end.
Norway playing the Yellowstones has the hammer as we begin play here in 6, 4-2 Canada.
Så långt ut som mulig. Ja. Ja. Nydelig spill. Veldig bra også.
The interesting thing on the last stone for Norway in that 5th end, it was thrown wide by Lynn Githmark. They could have perhaps brushed it and maybe got a little bit of a rub off the one in the house, and that's another thing that's difficult for juniors, is finding that plan B. And that's something that you really need to practice a lot, is if the stone isn't thrown properly, if there's a little bit of a mistake made in the execution side, you at the skip end have to be looking for all the ways you can make that shot the best it can be.
I think the other one thing too, Lynn, is that in a game like this, they actually, the momentum was on the side of the Norwegians in the sense that, you know, Canada is the better of the 2 teams. If you're to break them down, look at the round robins, etc., etc. But the momentum had gone to the side of Norway, and so in that particular end, they had the hammer after the hit and roll out by Jillian, and when she didn't get the extra point. And so my belief is to keep the pressure on and keep the pressure on them, and they had the opportunity in that 5th end to do so, and then kind of just let Canada off the hook. And then let's give credit where credit is due. The Canadians executed some great shots.
Ja. Ja, ja. Ja.
Stina Mo.
Ja, bra skipballen. Kom igjen. Kom igjen.
Very nice shot.
Leaves the 2 Canadian stones in play, back 8, back 12.
We'll go for this, and if you get that, it's okay. Regular? Normal? Yep. Yeah.
Bliss Comstock is a business student at Acadia University. Her sister studies arts at St. Mary's.
That's a very nice shot. They don't mind at all getting rid of the stone at the back of the house. Rolled over to a good spot.
15.
Little hit and roll here. Pretty nice, just rolled a little too far.
Control. Yep. Yeah. Hard. Yes. Hard. Whoa. Yep. Yes. Yes. Hard.
Snuck it by. Even got the roll. Look at that. Oh, and a bad break as it just pops out the other side.
I tell you what, they were a little bit casual on the brushing. They said, whoa, and that was very tight to the guard coming by to make the hit. Nice throw by Bliss. Just a little bit close.
Den får in. Ja! Ja! Ha! 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 Harta! Fin på! Ha! Ha! Harta!
Nej.
here to get the rub on the front and still make contact with the back stone.
Vi dyttet i garden litt her nå. Ja. Det er bra da. Det var sånn, vi måtte spille på små likevel.
Ja! Ja! Hard! Yes! Quick! Hard! Yep, bring it up, hard! Hard!
Roll hard, Chloe. Hard.
Nice shot by Paige. You know, Paige is the person that has to do it mostly on her own. She's studying at McGill. She's in her first year of science, so like so many teams now, you're not in the same towns, Linda. It's left up to you, the individual, to practice.
You know, we talk about that through the season, and when I know when Linda teaches, when I do my clinics in schools across the country, etc., I talk about this game, and it is a very lonely sport because it's very difficult to get 4 people together all the time. So you have to take it upon yourself to go out to because if you don't throw the stones and don't work on the mechanics of the game, you are not going to be consistent, and so you're not going to play at this high level. And obviously, you know, Paige has to do that. She's not living anywhere near the team. She's off studying, and all the more credit for her to her.
Huge scrub here if they can sneak it by. Oh, very nice. Far enough? Not quite.
That's still a great shot.
The shooter rolled in behind the corner.
It really was the roll. That was all that was important because you're pushing the other stone into the open, so you'll have a chance to get at it later. Another one that just scraped by, and there you see the great roll.
Very, very nice shot. Looks like they're peeling off the guard, so that will give you a chance now to go to the back one, potentially set up your deuce.
Yeah!
Yep.
Yeah!
Hard. Hard.
Hard! Yes!
Hard.
And again, we wish her a very happy birthday. Spill it out the back, a little bit more, one more turn. There it goes.
Great shot.
That curled like insane.
It took off.
It's one of those where it touched everything, and still they managed to spill out the one out the back.
Hvor den? Litt, kanskje? Hvor er den? Hvor er den? OK. Helst køle. Den ligger her. Må køle. Viktig at den køler. Bare henge maks. Bare her. Bare her. Ja!
They're trying to get the brushers to slow down a little bit to get it to curl, but this is all about weight. They're just trying to drag it into the rings.
And they won't get it there.
Sorry, Oliver har kosa. Og mye is.
If we come on the outside, she comes around this way. I don't mind coming around that way.
You like that?
It's like that way.
Oh, we could nose it.
We can hit it. Yeah, we hit it, then she comes around though.
Yeah. Do you like coming around the outside or this way?
I don't mind this. I don't mind this because if we're sticking.
Yeah, which way?
I like the page.
Okay, that's fine.
Just because if we're hanging out a little bit, then
Yeah.
she goes after
Yeah,
it.
that's fine.
Yeah. I just like this way because if we're hanging out a little bit, it's still blocking the forefoot, right? Coming around the outside and she comes around this way, then kind of sucks. Five.
Nei, vi må gå den veien der.
Jeg tapper den bakeren.
Nei, altså, hvis hun vil ligge, hun kommer til å ligge åpen her.
Ja,
Og så tapper den og ruller bak armen selv.
Jill is a stylist at Thumpers in Halifax. She also works
Stop forward.
as a hostess
No line, guys.
at the Lone Star.
Wait only.
Wait only.
Just stop forward.
Well, we'll be in Halifax for those Olympic trials that Colleen talked about, so.
Yeah, it is.
Well, then she just might get us a good table.
I would think so.
Okay.
And she'll come deep here, back 8.
Sorry, guys. Okay.
Linda, I haven't asked you this
Okay.
about what they did last year
okay.
with this
Really
team
fast on that
and went
path. It's
outside
60.
the team to
You came
find
quite
a
good at the
skip
end, huh?
Yeah, it
in
did.
Jill.
With the right weight, it would've
Rather
been
than maybe
Yeah.
moving up Paige from the 3rd position to the skip position. Their
So,
thought
well, I
was, and
going
the
for a
coach's
5'5",
thought was,
and
you
they-
know what?
One of them got 6'1",
All
one
the
got
others are
5'5".
comfortable
Yeah.
in their
I don't
positions.
know. I don't know what.
I went
to
looking
guess
for
I
a
can't
skip,
go
and that's who we
fast
went
on this
after.
path.
It's certainly something that you don't always have a choice about. If there's not a lot of other people with experience at the skip position in your area, sometimes you have to keep moving people up the lineup and hope that it works. But I think it's a great thing that Jill was available and that they meshed the 2 teams together, Jill and the other players, and it certainly has worked very well.
Yeah.
And it's tough, Vic, as we all know. It's tough to get in the hack and throw last, and you have to be willing to do it and enjoy doing it in order to make those shots.
Githmark in her first hole, they snuck it by.
That's one thing that Lynn really does have, Vic. You talked about it earlier. She has the stomach, the mental toughness to play the last stone, and that's the kind of thing that she does well. She isn't necessarily as consistent as we said earlier, but she will make the big shot.
Maybe 6'5". Spirit right in there, guys.
Just follow it down, put it on the corner if you can.
Yeah, just try and, you know, on the face anywhere, Vic, would be perfect.
Wait only, guys.
Angle freeze.
Four line.
Wait
Four
only.
line.
Just
Turns
tuck
around.
behind a little wee bit, and then they can't get at it. All
Whoa,
depen-
girls,
depends
just tee,
on
no
the,
line.
on the
Way
weight
out.
here.
Whoa.
Just a little strong in that
Right off,
first
B.
one. The
Just
time on
B.
this looks fine. It's just sliding a little different in this spot. The weight was very close. Look at that. It just did not curl for her.
It's also a little bit of difference in the releases, Linda. I believe that Lynn uses very little rotation, and her rocks, when they start to go, kind of go sideways
Jeg
on
kan
her.
godt
And
spille litt løsere. Bare sånn dytt den akkurat. Hæ?
that was a
Var
nice
det
shot.
pressure? Okay.
You're right. It just did not curl a little bit for she needed. Obviously, a huge shot for the Norwegian skip. Just touch this back.
Looking for 2 to tie here in 6. 21-year-old Lynn Githmark in her 8th and final appearance at the World Juniors.
Ja, 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 ja.
This one going to hang out there too. Celius and Mo on the brush. Rorvik with the call. Just tap it back for 2.
Lovely shot.
And then... Du kaller det møte, men det er veldig bra jobba. Nydelig satt.
I know it is spring, but I think it's more than just the Robins. When the Masters comes around, that's the sure sign of spring. And ESPN Classic Canada will feature Masters Week beginning April the 5th as we look back at some of the great Master finishes. I see Mike Weir this week. Ray didn't make the cut. Either didn't Gled Natchik down in the Players' Championship, the TPC.
Bad day for those two Canadians.
Only
yeah.
Stephen Ames made it.
Yeah.
4-4 as we go to the 7th in Canada with the hammer playing the Redstones.
And that was our first deuce with the hammer last end, and it was accomplished by Lynn Githmark on her 2 stones. A draw that came in a little deep, it seemed at first, but turned out to be the second point after she made the lovely tap back on her last stone on the Canadian stone that tried to make the freeze and just did not curl.
Yeah, you have to give Lynn a lot of credit. I mean, she got those 2 points all by herself, as you mentioned, a couple of great shots. And her last shot was not that easy. She it was wide open, but you still have to throw them properly. She got more action on her stone because of the lack of rotation that we're talking about. Felt a little sorry for Jillian because she seemed to throw that draw, as you mentioned, with perfect weight, but it just didn't finish. It wouldn't make that little move for her.
Your conversion ratio wouldn't be very good in this one, would it?
Well, so far it is just the one. There's been all the steals in the first half of the game. That really was the story up to that point. And we talk about ice reading as a skill, and that is the one thing that is difficult for, in this case, Jill, playing from Canada. Canadians throw with more rotation, a little bit differently, and that means you can truly only read the ice from your own team's stones. You're not getting much input about the ice from the opponent because they just throw so differently. So that is one thing that Jill is struggling with a tiny bit. The ice is a little different, and she doesn't have as much input on what the ice is doing.
Yep. Shot, Chloe. Good, Chloe.
Well, it's really be an interesting fifth and sixth end. Very, very interesting fifth end that unfortunately worked well for Canada, not so well for Norway. But then Githmark just buckled down and with her own 2 stones came up with 2 points. So here we are at 4-4 playing 7.
Veldig bra, Stine. Veldig fint spill. Bra spill.
Now the men's final will come your way tomorrow on TSN at 12:30 Eastern Time, and there will not be a Canadian team in that final. The Canadian team, skipped by New Brunswick's Ryan Sherrard out of the Riverside Country Club in Rothesay, New Brunswick, lost the tiebreaker to Korea last night. So the semifinals later today here in Trois-Rivières: Sweden, Korea, Switzerland, and Scotland. The men's final Sunday afternoon, 12:30 Eastern Time. Korea, Linda.
They played very well, in particular the skip. He apparently has been a big story this week, making a ton of shots, and that's exactly what he did against Canada.
And you know, I like the way he goes about doing it. He's very, very precise and very definite. He's very animated as well, but he's very, very definite. He puts the broom down, he looks at the angles, he calls the shot, and great, obviously some great coaching, and he's got a great stomach for the game. He made an unbelievable amount of shots.
Have you been coaching him?
No. Otherwise he'd be a wimp.
Very definite.
We've talked about my skipping ability.
Yeah, they have been the surprise, certainly.
What?
I like peeling.
Peel?
And you know, we really have to give a little credit, just to continue that thought for a moment, to Korea. They really haven't been involved in a long time, you know, in the game, and boy, they've really come on strong, and that's a terrific sign. I mean, we keep waiting for the Japanese teams to break out, and they don't seem to be able to do so, but nice to see that
Mine's pretty good. Wait only.
from the Pacific Rim, a team like Korea qualifying for the semifinals.
Whoa, just tight, guys. Whoa, guys.
Really gotta go, really gotta go.
Guys. Whoa,
We're not tight, we're not tight.
It's okay. What was she saying?
She's talking about going for the blank. I like going for it too.
Vi ligger halvåpen her, eller? Ja, kommer jo rundt på slutten.
Both of those stones are in a great spot to be used.
Er den inne?
If you're Norway, you have to decide if you're going to leave the Canadian stone alone and try and either draw around or tap your own.
Pass på den får rulla inn, da. Ja, kysser du den, så ruller du hit. Hva?
We've really seen the momentum flow back and forth now. Canada took away some of the momentum that Norway had early by grabbing those 3 points, a steal of 3 and 5. But last end, Norway seemed to get it back, and we're in that sort of lull point in the 7th end where we're waiting for someone to make the big shot.
What did you think of that comment that Maddie said to Jill Mouzar, that the front end wants to blank this?
Well, I think they're feeling this ebb and flow a little bit too, Vic, and retaining the hammer for 8 may be, as far as psychological goes, not a bad call.
Ja. Hvorfor køller ikke jeg noe utover der? Stine har kølt masse. You want to use that? Negativ, og da bare...
Yeah. I like coming around.
If we're talking about strictly strategy, Vic, without talking about the mental side of the game. The come around is certainly a good call. They've got lots of opportunity here with this front stone. Just no risk, really. There's just the one out in front and a good chance to get behind.
Where?
Bit of a strange way that we got only one out in front, but
How much up?
It is.
Back goes.
And it will just start for Paige Maddie, back edge of the 12.
Alternativ veier. Da skal vi spille 75 minutter her, da. 3-7. 3-7, okay.
It's a good call. Earlier in the game, we did notice that Lynn would go to hit stones that were at the back of the house, and that's a very difficult spot to hit. The rock is partly covered and way at the back, so this is just a draw.
It's curious how the ice hasn't really been figured out, Ray, by either team. They're light, they're heavy, they can't get the line, and I'm just wondering if that's inexperience. That's junior play.
of course. She figured it out here pretty well, didn't she? Very nice shot.
Grab the edge of the 4.
Seems you get out into that 8-foot on the outside inland, and it just doesn't want to curl for you at the end.
Very straight.
Or do we want to try to get to the inside?
What can you see?
I can see almost all of it. I mean, just tap it back a couple inches. Okay, that's fine.
Just bump.
Yep.
When you talk about practicing, Linda, and you set up situations, ice is one thing that you really can't set up, can you? You only learn this by playing on different conditions.
You really do have to move around, Vic. If you have ice at home that's a little heavy, you can practice by throwing not so far, but you can really not practice without the curl.
Now that in fairness to Paige, there was no reason for that to curl.
No.
That one did not run like they've been running down there. That one, I don't think she underthrew it. And they didn't jump on her right away, so I would have thought she was close to the broom.
Hva med dobbelen der, da? Altså, den er jo også mulig hvis vi bare drar dit. Altså, vi må dra treeren et eller annet sted. Vi må prøve oss bak her. Og dra hit. Ja, så slår hun og ruller inntil, så kan vi garde opp. Ja, men... Så drar de på linja. Den er smooth, egentlig. For jeg tror ikke hun tør å slå og rulle bak. Da ligger jo den. Så vi drar treeren et eller annet sted, kommer hun til å fjerne den. I still called that much. Yeah, just really seems really weird.
That's exactly what they're just saying, what Ray just talked about, the fact that that last stone for Canada curled so much, and they're scratching their heads.
Well, we saw the come around, the draw down there, not move at all. Then all of a sudden you throw a bumper weight shot and it moves fairly big time on you. So that was strange.
Discussion here is whether to guard or come in, and if you do come in, which turn do you play? Do you try and come in on the same side and be top 8-foot, or do you ignore everything and try and just draw around to the button?
Well,
and then it was talking about, do you want to come around this way or do you want to come around this way? And they decided to come this way, try to get the rock into this position here.
80. 80, tror jeg. Dere må poste den, den skal ikke på 10.
Get it to the top of the 4-foot. It's a good shot, of course.
Lynn Githmark and the first stone for the Norwegian skip here in the 7th of a 4-4 tie.
Ok, kjøre garden på den da. Kjør garden da. Kjøre garden da. Oh, ja. Ja. Oh, køll litt. Ja, ja, ja.
It's interesting to watch the stone, since we are behind the sheet with brushing, and the way she threw that, that actually looked like it was falling out instead of curling. So it is a very tricky spot.
Den kveldsgiggen satte et spinn på den, vet du. Ja, det var helt ræva.
I don't know.
And that rock did not curl enough, so shot stone is open for Canada.
It's wide open.
I think I like that.
If you just play back 8 on this, yeah. Just curl it, play tight to the guard and just hit it as straight on as you can. We'll just tap it back a couple inches, right?
Tiny bit less, Paige. Yeah. Pretty much freeze, maybe a little bump back to get shot rock. Yeah, I can see half a rock, Paige. Okay. Six.
So playing the freeze or a little bump back, she said, Lindo, could you afford or risk maybe tightening up the ice, playing a little bit more and looking for a roll?
You could play that, Vic. You could play that as an alternate shot.
Wait only, girls.
Way up.
Close. Close.
Yep. 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 Hard. Hard.
Comstocks, big brush. Oh my. Take it right back, tap it back, bump it back. Far enough. Shot stone Canada with the hammer here in 7th.
We talk about the center line, and once it gets to that center line, it certainly starts to move, Linda.
It curled a lot more than she thought. Very nice shot. They said they'd try to get to the nose, and they even curled past the guard a little bit to get even more of the stone. Push it back at a bit of an angle.
Jeg ser en tredjedel. Ja, det er bra fart denne her.
Githmark follow her down.
She can for sure. Tap it back. Lie 2, actually.
Taking a little extra time to focus, and remember, her stone will react a lot differently. Probably throw a little more weight.
Hvor tung er den da?
A little more weight here.
Oh.
It's a lot more weight.
Quite a bit more weight.
Gonna find the hole, gonna get anything? No, on the way by. Oh my! And now, it's a hit for 3.
Hva er tida på en 4? Skulle spille for 6 da. Jeg fikk 20 langs 3.24.
Tiny last page.
Well, the difficult part is, as we see, the big mistake, but if she'd just even thrown draw weight and been somewhere close to that Canadian stone, it would have been more difficult for Canada to get their second point. Now it is an open shot for Jill.
Regular.
Vi tar 2 nå, så tar 2 en 8.
I don't think she can just hit it right on the nose. She's a little roll, Linda.
Tiny
right?
bit, Vic.
Tiny bit, maybe,
Yeah.
Vic, but great opportunity for this Canadian skip to get her 3 points.
Whoa,
Wow.
whoa.
Right off, right off, right off, right off.
Girl.
Looking for 3. There's the hit. Will it sit? No, not in time. It could have been a bigger bullet for Norway. I don't know if they're cheering for Alberta or New Brunswick in the CIS Men's Hockey Championship going on in Fredericton. But you'll see the second semifinal at 4 Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. The winner to go on to Sunday's final against St. X, who earlier today beat York
Jeg sier 3,5
University.
til 10.
Trois-Rivières was a CIS champion back in 2001, and their banner hangs from the rafters here at the Colisée. The CIS Men's Hockey Championship on a championship weekend here on TSN.
4,19.
6-4 Canada.
Ja, fint.
Let's see, now that might be 5, 6.
Hvis den er veldig lang, så drar den så
There's
langt
been a
ut på
few
siden.
points handed back and forth by both teams here.
På ned og helt over Quebec curling.
But it's 6-4 Canada as we go to the 8th. Norway has the hammer playing the Yellowstones.
Yeah.
Corner guard's a little bit long, but definitely will curl over there, so they can use it.
I'll say.
So Canada will try and draw the play back to the middle.
Wait only, guys.
Weights down, Jill, halfway.
Yep. Hard all the way.
Gotta go.
Really hard. Oh, God. Should have hogged it, maybe. Okay.
Too high.
All right, Chloe.
I talked about the fact that the ice does slow down a little bit, and we are in a warmer building today, so that slowing effect seems to be a little bit earlier. It is something you have to take into account as you're throwing these draws.
Ja, treigere her.
Hei, køle.
Oi, det er litt for treige. Kom igjen.
Wow, den er negativ. Ok, kommer nå. 3. Oh. Ja, nylig retning. Kjemperetning, ja. Forkant. Ja. Ha! Kjemperetning, Harta. Følg rød. Det er grønn eller blå eller hva. Kom igjen. Harta, litt til. Nei, det er bra spill. Nydelig spill, Olga.
Very nice shot.
I like this. Get in second shot and then we'll feel, okay?
The player comparisons brought to you by Nokia, the official wireless phone of the season of champions.
And good shots by both leads, Chloe and Osa, with terrific numbers, and they have put some nice stones into good spots. Lots of great guards, as you see, of course, that they play mostly guards and draws as the lead player. So they've started things off well for both of their teams.
Top 12. Whoa. Whoa, guys.
I thought we were coming second shot. Second
Freeze
shot?
it. Sit. There.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yep, freeze it. Make sure it's frozen. Yep. All right.
And nearly frozen it is.
It's pretty wide open, though. You can hit this right on the nose. And
Spiller clearing farta di.
it is wide open.
Masse din.
Ok, bare treff, kos du. Gjør ikke noe litt løsere. Kjappen er bra.
Tom!
Ja! 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 Ha! 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 Oh, oh.
Nice scrub to get it by the guard. And they'll get the back one.
It's a nice shot, just the same.
That long guard for Canada really is causing them problems, and it was a good call by Lynn to draw around the guard. She has that one stone in the top of the 8-foot that is buried, and now she has shot stone right on the button. And it will be very easy to remove the red stone behind it if they have the chance.
And she has a stone to work with too, Linda, so it's, you're absolutely right.
No line, no line.
Good.
All right.
I mentioned earlier in the game that in the semifinal, Bliss Comstock had struggled a little bit with her hits, so full credit to her. Look at the numbers for hits, 92% for an overall 84, and Stina with good numbers at 79%. But it has been a little bit of a struggle at that position with the draw. They have had both the trouble with speed and line, because as we mentioned, ice reading seems to be tough.
Like to roll a little bit to the behind the red stone, a little bit to the inside. Across the face of this.
Bra fart! Nei, litt tyngre. Ja, den! Nei.
Stina Mo.
Kølla din dritt.
Vent da. Greit da. Er greit, Stine? Og litt tung.
Yep.
Had to curl a little more forward, just a little inside roll.
Just control.
Now this is a big shot for Paige. She has a terrific chance to go a little inside roll towards the other yellow stone.
No.
Whoa.
No, don't touch it. Close.
Close. Yep. Whoa. Whoa.
Yep.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep. Whoa. Whoa.
Whoa.
A little bit more.
No,
good, Paige.
right on the nose. Avoids the jam, though.
Doubles there.
Vi tar rullen inn her. Jeg tror det, fordi dobbelen der ligger... Alternativet er kjappen, den er også grei. Okay. Spiller vanlig, rolig 12 da. Ja.
Marianne Rorvik.
Så vi går for dobbelen i stedet. Ja, ok. Ja, dobbelen. Ja! Dobbelen da. Ja!
Got one. Oh, and that little catcher will keep the second in play.
Very nice shot.
We talked about the battle at third, and it has been an interesting one with Marianne Rorvik having the edge at the moment at 80%, boosted a lot by her draws. We just saw a lovely double on the hit side, but her draws have also been very strong, and she does have the edge at the moment over Paige.
Yeah.
I think we gotta play it though.
Okay. The nose is fine.
Just let's play with regular, okay?
Hold. Just wait for it.
Ball on its own.
Okay, Paige.
This has actually been a very interesting end and pretty well played.
Sånn.
Ja. Den også der. Ja. Kjør rolig, eller? Spill samme fart, du. Samme fart. Bare kost den hele veien.
Hit this, and you could roll this way. She's chosen to go try and roll it over this way. Try and make my squiggle a little better. Not to be criticized.
There's that long, there's a long corner out there that...
Now remember, the Yellowstone that is shot rock at the moment was drawn into there earlier. They knew they wouldn't have shot rock for a while, but now it is, and they've set this end up so well.
Catch it too thin, though. It'll have to sit really quickly.
Sit.
And no, I thought it might just spin back, but it doesn't.
Boy, it was almost a great shot, Linda. It just had to curl just a little bit more.
Du fikk en litt sånn negativ ripen. Han har ikke noe sjans når han får på den.
We can play the run. You want?
So long.
Yeah.
Do you think we could get it that way? Enough to bump it out?
I don't think you can see any of it.
Can you see any of it? Over a quarter.
On this side.
Yeah.
Jill, we can try it, and if you take the guide, then that's not bad, huh?
How much?
Really tight.
Just wait till they
What
clear.
would you play?
How much can you see?
Bump.
They're talking about that.
Yeah. Because you can't try to pick it out.
No. Just bumper, because come really tight and you can get half of it.
Okay.
At least.
If you have just bumped, it'll curl enough at the end.
Yeah.
They also
Bring it up by
talked
the
about
rock.
running this one back
Bring it up by the rock.
onto that one.
No.
What? Oh.
The yellow. It's the only way I can tell if it's enough.
Oh.
Should be okay.
It looks to me like they're going to try to play this with bumper weight, come around. Be careful not just to move it over this way.
Just pretty tight to the guard and we can make half a rock, eh? Bumper.
I think the shot is fine. It does look like a lot of ice based on how little
we
Jill's
bump
rocks
the
have
guard over a
curled
little,
in
it's
this
not horrible.
game. She is playing it quietly.
Like a 30 for bumper?
Linda, we saw at the Briar, we saw at the Scott occasionally long guards really weren't there. You said they were out there, but they weren't a factor. Are long guards here much the same, that they're not a factor?
Well, Vic, it really depends if you're playing the swingy turn or the straight turn. If you're playing the swingy turn, you're right. A long guard is not useful.
No. Right off. Never.
Thought you could see a quarter.
It was just too much ice.
And she maybe got a nickel's worth.
She thought she could see a quarter, but she only got a nickel's worth.
Wobbly.
You thought that would go right by you.
We both were going to leave it at first. And it has been a struggle, and I truly believe part of the struggle has been ice reading, as Jill is just not seeming to put the broom in the right spot for some of her shots. And it is a struggle. I know the ice is tough. And Lynn Githmark, she's making the right shots so far, but is inconsistent at this point.
Boy, what an opportunity here, though, Linda. If she buries one behind that corner guard, she can set up the possibility of scoring 3.
Where don't you want to leave it, Linda?
You don't want to leave it in a position where you set up a double or a good hit and roll, Vic. She has played this in very well. I'm impressed with Lynn's approach. She drew a stone in earlier, ignoring shot stone, got it buried, started to set it up, rearranged the rocks. I'm really impressed. Now you've got to execute.
I agree. She has skipped this end very well.
First stone for the Norwegian skip here in 8. Trailing by 2.
Masse burde køle, bare henge. Må henge. Må henge. Kom igjen. Kjemperetning nå.
This is changing turn almost. It's got so little rotation.
Celius, Mo, Rorvik out. And they get it there. 4-second shot.
It's an adventure.
It is.
You can see over half of this.
They really wanted that one deeper in the house if they could.
Back another couple of feet.
Yeah. You have to hit it so thin, it should go right out.
I think it'll probably jam on that, actually.
Not if you make the double. It's
Yeah.
so thin.
Yeah, the double is really thin, eh?
Yeah. The hit and roll is not bad, but the hit and roll will jam.
Hit and roll might not jam, Paige.
Okay. If we're missing the double, make sure it's not jamming.
More.
What are you gonna throw?
Talked
Quite a
about
bit.
the thin double. They also talked about, I think what they're going to play is the hit and roll.
Pretty thin. Wait.
They're worried about jamming it, but trying to roll it over here.
Well, she's going to throw peels, so I think this is the double they're going for.
Those are the two options. With peel weight, she's playing the double.
Whoa! No!
Jill Mouzar
No!
looking for a double to get herself out of some trouble here in the 8.
Whoa! Hard
Caught enough? No. Oh no, the catcher. The jam. And now it will be a chance for 3 for Norway here in 8.
They talked about that danger, and I think she was outside from what, my view, from behind the sheet. It looked like she put it out a little bit, and with that weight, it is not going to curl enough for you. If she got the roller, the double, the jam was basically immaterial because her shooter would have been left buried. But what a turnaround in this game. End after end. Chance to post a 3 on her side of the board.
Fin retning. Må ha fullt
Put it in the paint.
Fullt hold. Kom igjen!
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Out comes Rorvik with Mo. Celius. Oh, as Githmark handed it right back. Oh, goodness, she has. Canada hasn't allowed a 3 all week. They won't in the 8th either.
Oi, da er det for deg, ja.
Next up, Javla, Sweden. The Ford Worlds, Colleen Jones, Mark Daisy, both out of the Mayflower Club, will represent Canada. And TSN will have coverage of the semifinals from Javla, April 23rd and 24th. The Ford Worlds, the semis, are on TSN. Well, you know, I said to you, Linda, just in the break, I said they've probably given away,
This side over here.
both teams, as many points as they have scored. We are tied 6-6. We go to the 9th. Norway had a chance to take the lead, and remember, in 7, Canada had a chance, missed. So Canada has the hammer here in 9,
T-line.
playing the Redstones.
Take a look, guys.
Looks pretty good, Jill.
Whoa, whoa.
In fairness to
It's
the
good.
both teams, it definitely, the slide path definitely has flattened out, Linda. They're
Yeah,
just
tackle
stopping
up.
dead. It's a lot warmer in here. There's a big crowd, tremendous
That's
crowd.
right, please.
Det virker som det er litt tregere, for det suger litt.
Yeah, they
They've done a terrific, excuse me, Vic, they've done a terrific job in this area and promoting this event. It's been a great week. Heard nothing but positive comments from everybody. The organizing committee has done a sensational job. Curlers have had a terrific time, and it's been a good surface. It's a little warmer today, and we've had some rain, and it is flattening out a bit.
2,100 is the attendance today in a building that seats 3,000.
Kulla.
You were saying earlier, it brings the week-long total now close to 22,000. So they'll,
Yeah, it's fantastic to see, and it's good for the area. It's good for promotion of the game of curling, in this area. It's fantastic.
I don't mind it. What do you think?
Well, this is one of those games where it's a little hard to predict what you want to do. You're
Way,
tied
way
at
out.
this point, and now you're talking
good.
about having hammer and whether you
Make
want to
sure
go
it's in,
for it
guys.
in the 9th end or retain the hammer. But it's just one of those games where there's been so many
Hard right up.
steals, you're not sure of maybe going for some points here and then maybe trying to
Hard.
steal in 10 if it doesn't work out is just
Right up, right
not
up,
that bad a
please.
strategy.
Okay, Chloe.
Yeah. It's harder to predict what's going to happen than what to do. that you're, the momentum has gone back and forth.
Oh,
Both
yes.
teams having chances, and the Norwegians certainly had it in the early part of the game, and then all of a sudden it switched around with a big steal of 3 in the 5th. And then there's been a couple of well-executed ends, Linda. And unfortunately, for Norway in that case, she skipped a great end, and she had an open draw for her extra point, and just came up a little short.
But if you are Norway and you look at that last end, your goal that end was to get your deuce, you got it. So you can't be too frustrated by those little mistakes. You've got to just keep moving on, and they're playing much better, I think, right now.
Sit down.
Ja, bra spilt, Stine.
All right, if you're Canada, you try to, well, you've got the center. I guess you try to use that, but I was going to say, do you try to blank and run it through and take the hammer to 10? Linda?
Well, you'd love to do that, Vic, but that may not happen. I mean, but that, yeah. Ultimately, that would be wonderful if you could do that.
Control.
Yeah. Yeah. Hurry. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah.
As I said, Vic, the one thing about the going for the deuce, if it doesn't work, because there have been so many steals in this game, I'm not sure Canada could be too disappointed, because if you go for your deuce and it doesn't work, sometimes you're just very frustrated. But remember, there's 4 rock roll. You get a couple of guards up front if you want to.
Viktig, du
Get
kjører
one
bak,
good
du
one in
køler
behind,
ikke
and you
så
can
mye
go
her.
for the steal.
Particularly considering the fact that maybe a little tougher to draw than we think.
Absolutely. I really think so.
Pretty easy to be critical. The ice is and the slide path has certainly flattened out a bit. So, and the most experienced curler in the world will tell you that when they don't really feel confident about the draw weight, it's very difficult to play the style of game that that you think you should be playing, depending on the score and the situation.
Ja. Ja. Ja.
Tung.
This is a very, very, very straight spot once you just get outside the center line, then oddly enough, if you do get inside the center line, it'll move for you big time. But this spot right down there is very straight.
And we talked about it earlier when there was some mistakes of stones not curling enough. And I guess as a skiff, I always believe I wanted to cut the ice down until the point where I found that spot where it started to over curl, because there is nothing more frustrating than going by on the wide side. Your brushers can't do anything for you. So I think the skips are doing a good job here of just cutting the ice down and then holding it with the brushing.
Just got across the nose.
Yeah, that's a nice shot. That's all of a sudden a very difficult shot to get at.
Jeg ser jo over, jeg ser 3/4 da. Du får ikke rullen bak da. Bare slå 15 her. Jeg må på do etter noen gang her, det må du minne meg på. Jeg har på tisse i buksa.
Go back to the reading the ice notes. One of the things that we talked about is you can win and lose this game with your brushes, with your sweeping, and that's for sure. Nice throw.
Nydelig. Heng da, heng da. Heng da. Nydelig, kjempebra.
That would be hang on, would
I
it?
think it was. And the best part is it listened.
He's still so proud of himself, eh, when he figures something out, huh? 19 years later, and he figures out a word, and he goes, all right, there you go.
Whoa, sweeping guys. The hard lift? No. Oh, well. Vanlig trollfart. Ja. Det er perfekt is for hun. Ja.
Boy, the brush is right in the center of the stone.
It is. This is about the straightest spot we've seen from the edge of the 8-foot to the center line with the outside in turn.
She threw that right up, boy.
Drifta litt, så det var fint. Veldig fin fart. Drifta litt på han, så bra fartsmelding. So sweaty.
Whoa, Paige Maddie.
No.
In the 9th of a 6-6 tie. Playing for the gold medal here in Trois-Rivières in the women's junior curling championship. Oh, and they got a break. It stops actually before going behind that guard.
Well, as Linda just mentioned a moment ago, it's the one spot on the ice you cannot get outside at all. She got a little bit outside, not a huge amount, Linda, and it just almost like drifted away a bit on her. That's just such a dangerous spot.
Akkurat hjemme. Alternativt så kjører vi en dit. Her da. 3,80. Ja. Nei, det er litt løst. 3,75. Ja. 75 da. Skal vi kjøre litt, så holder vi hjemme ved den her. Ligger med toeren, det er mye større press for henne.
Short's okay, top 12's okay. They'll watch the line.
Nei, ok, 80 da. 80. Må i hvert fall 3, fin retning. Ok. Ja! Ja! Oh. Ja!
This one's curling just because of the way she throws it.
Boy, if they take a little bounce, they might help themselves out here.
Well, it was a great opportunity. She just She got more movement because, as Linda mentioned, with that rotation, it kind of slides sideways on her.
Yeah. But it'll curl in there if you just throw. Why don't you just throw to it?
Yeah. Just a little something so we can get shot.
But you got to get to the inside of it. Do you like that?
Even to the
To the nose of it's not bad either.
Yeah, just T-line.
Absolutely, Jillian. Just to the face of it.
I mean, could you ask to be greedy here and get across and look for the little roll in behind?
No, I don't think. Yeah, I agree.
Try to come around there.
Thanks. Why don't you just come over here and cuff me?
Yeah.
You could try and be greedy, and if you tried that, Vic, I think you might be giving up a point.
Okay.
No, you've got to just play
My
this
goodness.
very quietly and tap it as straight back as you can.
That's his Swiss background.
Is it?
Trying to get that little
Greedy.
extra.
Just knock this microphone right off my face.
55?
Well, the opportunity is there with those overlapped stones out in front.
I'm going to keep repeating it, but it is the difficulty. Lynn's stone curled. Jill's will not curl the same. She has to have the absolute perfect weight.
Just a draw to the face would be perfect here.
Whoa.
Never.
Whoa.
Never.
Jill Mouzar in her first. Oh. She just hangs her head because she's just not sure.
Leave it really high.
It's too much weight. And on top of that, I still think she's giving herself too much ice on all these shots.
Men det ligger risken for dobbelt. Vi trenger bare det. Eller du kan faktisk ta den, og så får hun en. Ja, gjør det. Litt risky. Så kjøper den, og skal hun gjøre, må hun dra eneren.
Boy, it's such a tricky spot. What an opportunity here for Norway now. She comes down.
Det beste er bare å gå på dragninger rundt der. Den er risky, altså. Altså, det er bedre at hun faktisk får 2 enn at vi får 1 i 9.
But I mean, Ray, you wouldn't even hurt yourself. You haven't got the hammer even if you left it high, would you?
No, but you could really, really put the pressure on here, Vic. It could come in if you just get it around a little bit, or even short, as you say, short. You're
Vi
gonna.
kan jo lett tappe den etterpå. Alternativet er guard på den. Ja, vi går den veien. Vi må jo stjele i neste omgang uansett, så vi kan egentlig gå for å stjele igjen.
They're not going to touch those guards, Linda, are they?
No, I think she's just thinking about where it can come. Looking at the last stone, how much it curled, sort of sizing up what would happen.
Det er veldig kjipt å stjele. Hun er keen på å gå for taken der, men da gir hun oss sikkert bare en. Alternativet er den. Vi kan slå ut da.
They're talking about hitting the back one, but
Hun kommer jo ikke rundt der nå, men hun kommer sikkert rundt der på neste.
depends what you want to do, if you want to force or steal.
And they're called a timeout, so this is their second. And Ole Ingvaldsen will head to the ice.
Så stopper den her, er det også greit, for hun må
Canada
jo
still
dra
has
den.
one timeout to
Hun
take.
kan ikke stelle 1 i 9 når hun
Did mention the rule again, Linda, about the fact that the Canadian coach cannot go to the ice at this point.
It's just the team that calls the timeout, and the coach that does have the timeout called, in this case Norway, can go to the ice, can stand in virtually any position to view the stones and help the team.
And the time will only start when he gets there. So now, time's in.
Men det køler lite, hvis jeg kjører positivt slipp da. Ja, derfor jeg setter positivt på de rundt. Ikke køler, det gjør ikke hun. Må rundt. Jeg tenker, Ole, altså om hun, hvis jeg skulle, jeg tror ikke jeg kommer til å legge den dobbelt, men hvis jeg skulle gjort det og hun tar 2, så er det bedre enn hvis jeg stiller 1. Det er ikke noe kult om hun tar 2, altså. For at da, hvis hun skal ha dobbelen, så går jo den rett ned i rød. Hvis hun skal dobbelen. Den er fin. Ja, jeg drar dit, for det er det jeg vil helst. Ja. Mye skal du ha? Det er fin. Ja. Ja. Ser bra ut, Ole, eller skal jeg litt mindre is? Ser bra ut. Meld farta, hvis den ikke kommer lenger enn 3, så stopper hun. Hva var tida på forrige?
Actually, it's interesting, Linda, because of the way she throws, if she gets out to the stick, and and then
83.
leaves it and gets that little action, she'll get more action across, and she may be able to get to the top of that 4 foot and 3/4 buried, or
and
half
a little
buried.
bit buried for sure.
All she has to do is get the quarter of the stone buried, and it's
That's what they've decided to play. The factors are, what is your goal, whether you want to steal or force the opponent to a single, and the second thing is, does she think she can make it? And she does think she can make it.
And Githmark and her last, but it's going to take a big scrub.
Now they're just trying to bounce it for a guard.
And that's what they'll do. Oh, they've opened it up now. Is there a hole there?
There's a hole, but it's a tough one.
She didn't want to set up a double. That's why Lynn took so much time talking about the ice as well. But we all know her rock is going to curl. And you just saw by that one how much it curled.
Do you want to just do that?
I like it.
Do you want to? Okay.
She actually had the perfect weight, and if she gets that out to the stick a little bit, then
so I think the decision here is just to give up the point and keep the hammer. That's what it appears to me.
yeah. That's why Lynn wanted to get that one in and force her to play a shot or give up 2.
I can understand you fooling with the hole and trying to go through there, but if you went to the wide out turn and tried to get to it, wouldn't work.
I don't think it's there for her, Vic.
No. Okay, so the Canadians will decide to give up 1 here. Norway will lead it going to 10, but the Canadians will have the hammer coming home here in the gold medal game of the Women's World Junior Curling Championship.
The 2004 World Junior Curling Championships from Trois-Rivières are brought to you by Ford, built for life in Canada, by Nokia, official wireless phone of the Season of Champions, and by Karcher. You'll look for things to clean.
So it comes down to the 10th, this gold medal game of the Women's World Junior Curling Championship from Trois-Rivières. Norway leads 7-6 as Canada will have the hammer coming home after the steal of 1 by the team from Oslo in 9.
Well, the Norwegians obviously going to play this end closed, Linda. They've thrown the rock out in front. It's very common. It's what a lot of teams will do. They'll play it almost like it's a steal situation.
Okay.
What makes it interesting is then if you're the team with the hammer coming home, you have to decide if you make any adjustments to your plan. Now, often the corner guard is less useful in this situation because your opponent is going for the steal. So you will see occasionally the team with the hammer play that corner guard much tighter to the center line and a little tighter to the ring so they can use it as a tap stone.
Or go around it as well. They go right to the top of the 8 foot or top of the 4 foot, knowing that the other team's going to try and close the end off on you. The Norwegian team has executed the last couple ends very, very well.
Oh, Osa Celsius will get it to the top of the just edge of the button.
Yeah, hit and roll. Hit and roll, Joe. You like that?
Big guard. If we freeze, I think we'll guard.
It's not bad. How much?
Playing a quiet hit and roll.
That was the difficulty of drawing that way for Norway. They did leave a roll on that side behind the corner.
Especially since they know the ice the other way too, Linda, because they played a couple draws from the intern there.
Move a mile.
Wow, look at this though. Look at it run straight.
And it will punch it out into the open a little more on the other side.
Thank goodness for that.
Vill du dra en gard eller vill du dra en till? For den ligger liksom på siden bakkant. Du ser akkurat hele av den bare. Vil du kanskje ha en annen shot? Hva? Kanskje ha en litt bedre shot? Ja, jeg enig i det. Tar en garden, kan vi bare dra garden. Ja.
Right to the top of the button with the other turn again. Good call.
Ja. Ja. Okay. Finne den.
Oh.
10.
Nei. Ok, da må du dra så langt som
60.
mulig.
Nei, den
Ja,
er.
jeg sa dra den så langt som mulig hvis den er tom.
Hvor langt skal den?
Her, helt ned.
Men ikke noe dobbelt her, da.
She got that outside, right out of her hand. That rock is better short than
Vi har vann
there, actually.
I like that. Do you? Making it harder to get our one. We'll fit shot. I like,
You like
it.
that?
I like it.
Big shot right here,
Just
Lou.
bumper.
They're going to play it with hit weight, and it's a good idea to get this one out because then they're not closing themselves down for the second point, but you cannot be wide. Obviously, we've seen this time after time.
No,
Can you
bumper.
angle it back and maybe get them both?
No.
The hit and roll or the hit and stay is a little bit better, Vic.
Got to get one, though, huh? Got to get something.
All right.
Okay.
Well, obviously you can see what's happening here. If they Norway makes a good shot here, they're going to really be in trouble.
Fine. Wait is good.
What a key shot this is.
It's nice as a player to have the chance to play it again. The last one
Oh,
Stina threw was a little bit strong and a little bit wide.
Ligger i forkant. Si. Stopp i forkant. Ut. Skifter nesten køllene.
Dra den langt, eller?
Nei, jeg kommer ikke langt. Kommer. Kyssen.
Nei.
Nei, stopp da. Den skifter køllene.
Altså, det er samme is som Åsa.
Den skifter køll, den skifter nesten
Men
køll.
ikke så mye.
I like that. You okay?
Control.
Another chance for the Canadians?
For sure.
Control.
This one's a little easier, even Vic. It's wide open, lots of room to roll.
Even a nose hitter
Control
is
down.
fine here. A little roll would be nice, but
Bliss Comstock.
got to save the shooter. That's the key.
Nose.
Okay, Bliss.
And
It's all
they
right.
will.
Hey.
Shot stone still Norway. Back of the four. Canada needs one to tie, two to possibly win the World Championship here in 10.
Ja. Tror vi har nok tid, for å si det sånn. 5 minutter. Ja, det burde holde.
Da kan vi koste den på rullen.
Ja, det er bra fart.
Ja.
Marianne
Ja,
Rorvik.
hvis bakkant. Nei, hvis lenger.
Oh, vekk! Vekk!
She throws very straight, Marianne. She just needs this to work a little bit for
Køll
her.
litt grann, da, i hvert fall.
It's still just a little bit too much ice. Both skips are fighting that spot.
Kom igjen, hardt!
She threw that perfectly.
She did. And with perfect weight too, Linda.
Rulla litt. Kan du se innsiden, så hun får fint dobbelen med rullet.
Doubles there.
We can try the double and roll.
You want that? That's fine. I can get to the inside. We just don't get shot. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Roll it hard, Chloe.
Doubles there.
There's two ways of making it. You could come close to the nose and sit there with the shooter and make the double, or you can play it the other way and get the roll, and that's what they're talking about. What you want to make sure is you do move that one off the back of the 4, or at least get your shooter into a good spot.
Whoa. Whoa. Chloe, no.
Paige Maddie.
No roll, Chloe. Don't touch it, Chloe.
Across the top, gonna spill it. Need a little bit more. Not far enough, but it moves it back to the 12-foot.
That's a great shot. She got the one moving off the back of the 4 and saved the shooter.
Well, the key to Lynn is, unfortunately for her, if that comes like an 1/8 of an inch more, it's absolutely perfect. She gets the roll behind the guard. She gets the other rock out of there. Lovely shot. And the situation now for Canada obviously is a lot better than it was a few moments ago. Still a chance here for Marianne to get around top of the 4-foot, get buried.
Må kølle, må kølle. Og kølle, gjerne kølle litt først. Lang kølle litt først. Kommer nå. Må kølle. Må kølle. Vil du nærme seg nå? Ja.
This young lady's had a great week.
Igjen, fin retning.
Made a lot of shots.
Litt til, hjem innsiden.
And Rorvik will find the top 4.
Vil ikke gjemme seg, altså.
Just didn't finish the way she wanted to, and we know they're not there.
Just control. You're gonna roll over your way. Just control. Close.
Whoa, close, yeah. Whoa.
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 Whoa. Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. No roll, Chloe.
Got enough? And she does.
Too much roll.
But can't hold the shooter.
Is that more than control? Okay, sorry. Sorry.
Fall back out so hard there.
I think that might have been a little bit more than control.
Yeah, you had a little wobble.
Foran 10.
Få en Cosmopolitan hvis jeg
Last time playing this way, Lynn threw 2 draws. The first one was top 12. The second one came up short. She has had a bit of a struggle with draw weight. Needs this to be at least 8 foot.
The one thing that Jillian cannot do here is watch the ice that Lynn takes. Because the stones they throw are so different. The releases are so different. Lynn will get more action on her stone.
This is the first for the Norwegian skip here in 10.
Oi.
Time should still be the same, Linda?
It's about 13 and a half maybe now, Vic. The main thing is that I think she's still just taking too much ice because they're riding out there, Vic. And yeah, the speed was actually fine for her.
What a chance now for the hit and roll.
Well, it's a funny game, this game of curling. You know, the Canadian skip has struggled a little bit throughout this game with reading the ice in particular, as Linda's mentioned. What an opportunity here to get a little hit and roll in behind that guard and set up the possible victory.
Roll behind the center guard, guys.
And you want to roll it right over there if you can.
It'll be sitting top 4, so.
Right there.
Control weight.
When you think of all the opportunities both skips, both teams have had, and opportunities lost. A great chance now for Canada and Jill Mouzar.
Whoa, no. Yeah.
Took ice almost on the edge of the stone, Linda.
Yeah, she's having to roll it the other way, Vic. It's just so straight.
Hard over. Go, Chloe, hard. Hard, Chloe, hard.
Nope.
Okay. Vanlig, rolig 12. Rolig 12, da. Køler ingenting her, sånn.
It's all right. We'll get our one.
Had to wait.
Well, the way this game is going, you have to wait and see if Lynn can hit and stick on this. It's been just one of those games. It's a fairly open shot, but you just can't increase the weight here.
Don't forget that Canadian stone, edge of the 12-foot tee line. Could come into play if she can't sit there. Final stone for Norway here in 10. They lead by 1.
Threw that very well.
Oh, she'll jump it behind. Look at that. Tuck a piece. It looks like it may be a cold draw to tie. Full 8 to go an extra. And nothing's for sure.
We saw the third, Paige Maddie, talk to Jill before the other team threw their last throw, before Lynn made the hit and stay, saying prepare for the draw, so they were already thinking about it. Just needs full 8 foot.
And they've 9-0 and they haven't been beaten, and obviously she's made a number of these rocks to get this position, so this looks very much like an extra.
Norway has never won a Junior World Curling Championship. Anything less than full 8 foot will give them their first final stone.
Full 8.
Full 8. That's what they need. Right away. Have they? She pulled the string on this. Here they go. Maddie and the Comstocks. Norway is going to win their first World Junior Curling Championship.
We have to give them a lot of credit, Dick. They hung in. They really did struggle at times. Caught some pretty suspect ends, but they just caught the Canadians on a bad day. And Jillian struggled with the ice calling, and obviously the ice changed a little bit.
What a story for Lynn Githmark in her 8th and final appearance. Never before she had been better than 3 and 6, and now she is the golden girl.
You deserve it. You're just so many times. If anyone else is going to win, I'm glad it's you.
Never before till today has Norway won a World Junior Curling Championship of any kind, but Lynn Githmark from the Risenga Curling Club in Oslo becomes the very first with her 9-6 win over Canada, and Jill Mouzar from Shettabukto, Nova Scotia. And their new gold medalist is with Linda.
Well, congratulations. You just saw your name go on the board. The first time Norway's won. How does it feel?
It feels really, really, really great. Oh, I'm so warm. It's so warm here. Like, people is giving off so much heat, and I'm like, oh.
Now, the game wasn't easy. There was some mistakes back and forth, and the ice seemed a little bit difficult.
Yeah, the ice, well, after people went and came and went, the ice started to make it was pretty fast in the start, and then it went slower in the middle, and now at the end I was telling my wife, like, it's really, really slow now, because my first draw was really hard, and my girl said, oh my God, it's through, but then it totally stopped, and she hadn't made a draw in a long time, so I was like,
that was the difficult part, and it was one of those games where you made the right shots, you hung in there, and at the end you made some terrific shots.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I had 2 horrible shots in the game, and I was like, would forget those, but we kept going, and I'm so happy. I don't have words for it.
You made a very cute comment to another person in the media earlier. You said the first 7 times we were just warming up for this one. Well, you've done it after those 7. Congratulations on this 8th.
Thank you. This is my first time. I'm actually going with my own team. Like every year we've been picked. So nothing has worked, and I haven't been really good curling player. And But, well, I feel really great, and I love to be in Canada because people are really, really, really great.
Well, we liked having you. Congratulations again.
Congratulations to Norway's Lynn Githmark, Marianne Rorvik, Stina Mo, and Åsa Celius. They are Women's World Junior Curling Champions. The president of the World Curling Federation, Mr. Roy Sinclair, making the presentation of the championship trophy to Norway's Lynn Githmark, Marianne Rorvik, Stina Mo, and Åsa Celius.
Well, it's a big win for the Norwegians, Vic, there's no question. And they have an expression, they say, Rye, when I spent a lot of time at Rye, there will be a party. And tonight there will be a party.
I bet you there will. I mean, it's quite the story, as I say, for this young lady in her 8th appearance, never to be better than 3 and 6. But we talked, and you know, the coach said, and there you see him there, Mr. Ola Ingveldsson. She's a different curler.
Yeah, and you know, you really have to give her credit. She really did skip a couple of questionable ends, but she got herself together. And the last 3 ends of the game, they really executed well. So really, you know, she has had 3 losses in the round robin, but very deserving of this victory today in this game.
So now, don't forget, Lynn will go on to the Ford Worlds in Gävle, Sweden, where she will play with Dorothy Nordby, and she'll take this World Championship trophy with her. And really the Norwegian program, when you think about Paul Truelsen, Ray, and what he's done, what he's accomplished, of course, and his Olympic gold medal, the Norwegian program may be, for its numbers, getting stronger.
Well, they do travel a lot to play the game. We talk about Christian Soren, we talk about Igo Ramsfeld, we talk about Dorothy Nordby. These are, and Paul Truelsen of late, tremendous team, gold medal winner at the Olympics in Salt Lake City. So this is a good sign for Norway and for all Scandinavia. A great win for the Norwegians. You have to, you know, it was a marvelous way to go about it, a tough way in some cases, but a terrific win.
So for Canada, who had won 8 of the 16 Women's World Championships dating back to 1988, now Norway becomes the first Norwegian team, both men and women. And that honor now falls to Lynn Githmark. It'll be interesting. Now the men's semis will go tonight, and we'll be back with you Sunday afternoon at 12:30. So till then, on behalf of Linda and Ray and our entire crew, congratulations again to Norway, to Lynn Githmark, and our thanks to the Canadians from the Shenabukto Curling Club, Jill Mouzar, Paige Maddie, Bliss, and Chloe Comstock. This year they are silver medalists at the World Junior Curling Championships from Trois-Rivières here on TSN.